Okay guys, right now I am over at the basketball arcade machine because we are going to see a 1v1 situation happening, which is going to be Miles from Fnatic Onyx Philippines going up against Tarzan from Houston Vibes.
1v1 going on. Who is going to win?
Okay guys, right now I am over at the basketball arcade machine because we are going to see a 1v1 situation happening, which is going to be Miles from Fnatic Onyx Philippines going up against Tarzan from Houston Vibes.
1v1 going on. Who is going to win?
Okay guys, right now I am over at the basketball arcade machine because we are going to see a 1v1 situation happening, which is going to be Miles.
All right, Houston again. Singapore, which I'm assuming they should be very good at because Malaysia and Singapore would pretty have very similar childhood. Oh, nice one.
Just for your information, there's an official merchandise for M6 and TNT Gold dropping on 28. Make some noise for TNT.
Terima kasih Malaysia. We are ready for M6. Kita siap untuk M6. ML Kitchen Hazardous.
Kita udah ready buat M6.
We are ready for M6.
Handa na kami sa M6.
We are ready for M6.
M6，我们准备好了。
starts now.
Mobile Legend M6 スイスウォッチ明治 Hello Panda, Hello Panda, semua suka biskuitnya. Biskuitnya enak isinya lezat rasa coklat dan strawberry. Hello Panda, semua suka biskuitnya. Biskuitnya enak isinya lezat rasa coklat dan strawberry. Hello Panda, biskuit isi yang enak.
In MLBB, each of the 5 players plays a distinct role.
Whatever it is you want to believe,
But how do these roles work together on the world stage?
going Sons, who picks up the
Mid laners and roamers are the bedrock of the team.
looking for the knockup, not able to find his sense who he wants for, takes him out.
Whether it's picking beefy tanks, mages, or sustain, together they provide crowd control and damage in the early game, making space for the team to farm or secure objectives. Then we have the EXP laners, usually playing tanky heroes. They poke and zone the enemy to create opportunities,
All right, let's see another fight commences here. Gear goes in. It's going to be a lot of damage playing.
while the roamers pick to fill the team's needs and support if needed. EXP laners must win their lane and protect their tower with aggressive, confident play, ensuring map control for the team.
Ooh, final slash.
Finally, we come to the junglers, the early to mid-game finishers, and the gold laners, the mid to late game finishers.
Irie, the god of the jungle, takes a double kill.
For junglers, whether it's frontline tank utility or assassin early game assassin burst, they form the core of the team. They act on the space created by their team to finish off objectives, utilizing power spikes with the early game advantage they get from farming the jungle.
Should be a retreat from the Burmese gold, and they get sent down into the ground.
Gold laners focus on farming for gold to become late.
Lost in the shadows, feeling so small. But I've got a fire, won't let myself fall. Every hit taken, every scar earned, lessons in pain from which I've learned. When the world says I'm done, I'm just starting my run. Through the darkest of nights, I will find. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I get back on track with a peaceful attack. I always come back around, I'll never back down. No, I'll never back down. push with all our might, for we have only one goal, the ultimate prize when hope seems so far. I'll reach for the stars in the heart of the storm. I am reborn, I am reborn. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I get back on track with a peaceful attack. I'll always come back around. I'll never back down, no, I'll never back down. Forced to be whole and it waits to and fall. I'll always come back around. Battle, battle, taking the ride, make it, break it, hate it, I shine. You won't get me down, no, I'll never back down. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I get back on track with a peaceful attack. I'll always come back around. I'll never back down, no, I'll never back down. Forced to be whole and it waits to and fall. I'll always come back around. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I get back on track with a peaceful attack. I'll always come back around. I'll never back down, no, I'll never back down. Forced to be whole and it waits to and fall. I'll always come back around, always come back around. Lost in the shadows, feeling so small. But I've got a fire, won't let myself fall. Every hit taken, every scar earned, lessons in pain from which I've learned. When the world says I'm done, I'm just starting my run. Through the darkest of nights, I will find. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I get back on track with a peaceful attack. I'll always come back around. I'll never back down, no, I'll never back down. Forced to be whole and it waits to and fall. I'll always come back around. When worlds converge and dreams ignite, there are millions to witness the champion arise. With every challenge, we push with all our might, for we have only one goal, the ultimate prize when hope seems so far. I'll reach for the stars in the heart of the storm. I am reborn, I am reborn. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I get back on track with a peaceful attack. I'll always come back around. I'll never back down, no, I'll never back down. Forced to be whole and it waits to and fall. I'll always come back around. Battle, battle, taking the ride, make it, break it, hate it, I shine. You won't get me down, no, I'll never back down. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I get back on track with a peaceful attack. lost in the shadows, feeling so small. But I've got a fire, won't let myself fall. Every hit taken, every scar earned, lessons in pain from which I've learned. When the world says I'm done, I'm just starting my run. Through the darkest of nights, I will find. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I can't back on track with a peaceful attack. I'll always come back around. I'll never back down, no, I'll never back down. A force to behold and it waits to unfold. I'll always come back around. When worlds converge and dreams ignite, there are millions to witness the champion arise. With every challenge, we push with all our might. For we have only one goal, the ultimate prize. When hope seems so far, I'll reach for the stars. In the heart of the storm, I am reborn, I am reborn. You won't get me down, you won't get me down. I get back on track with a peaceful attack. I'll always come back around. I'll never back down, no, I'll never back down. A force to behold and it waits to unfold. I'll always come back around. Battle, battle, taking the ride. Make it, break it, hate it, I shine. You won't get me down, no, I'll never back
For almost half a decade now, the Philippines has been on top of the MLBB world. To get there, they had to topple the Burmese. In today's bouts, we are going to be revisiting old rivalries for a new age. Welcome to the M6 World Championships. At your service, my name is Leo, here with Trex and Wheezy F Baby, finally on the world stage. Stefan Shocks, how you doing?
Hey, better late than never, but never late is better. In this case, greater than ever. Glad to be a part of the desk for the World Series M6. The elevation, the intensity is just starting to heat up.
Man was in the air for about 30 hours and finally in Kuala Lumpur. Trex, you were part of last night's broadcast. How was that? Like, y'all almost ended at 12 midnight.
We almost ended up, we were waiting for Wheezy to get there and he was very late, so we were very late, but in the end it all worked out okay. And now we get, like you said, I mean, I couldn't have said it better myself, we got some rivalries coming up. We got some big games ahead of us today.
2 best of 5s, ladies and gentlemen, coming your way. I hope y'all are ready, and I hope you freed up the rest of your weekend because you're not gonna wanna miss these upper bracket bouts. Real quick, a shout out to Kadia. Experience the thrill of gaming in real life at Kadia's Gaming and Esports District. Every detail is a celebration of play and entertainment. Check out at Kadia Gaming, play life. Now, gentlemen, It's been a wild ride all throughout Wildcard, all throughout Swiss. And despite Wheezy having a very busy schedule, finally having the time to join us here in beautiful Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia, you've been tuned in ever since the very start.
I have, and honestly, full of surprises. I know in the very beginning we were asked to give our predictions for who we thought would make it into the top 8, who we thought would make it to the knockouts, and a lot of us were wrong, right? We got to see some regions who would have thought performed the way they did, such as China, DFYG, up against Ofednar out from Turkey as well. Both of them, some heavy hitters, unfortunately not here with us today. As you know, the higher you get up that ladder, the higher the elevation gets, the harder the matches go.
And here today, it's just the creme de la creme, the cream of the crop, the ones who are going to make it on top. These 4 teams are fighting for the chance to play at Axiata. Winners of today's matches are confirmed for the top 4. Real quick, we're celebrating No. This is a billion. $1 billion and 500 registered MLBB players from the 6th of December all the way to the 23rd. Join the event and complete tasks to get a random epic skin for free. Thank you for your unwavering support and for being part of this incredible journey. Hashtag Mobile Legends Bang Bang. Hashtag MLBB for life.
You know, when we first saw that number yesterday, we were wondering if we thought it was a typo.
How many?
We were like, wait, how many zeros is that? LaFell was like, what 1.5 billion, okay, that's where we're at right now. And that's just an exciting thing to hear, right? How much growth we have had over the, half decade, right? More than that.
To think that we are one of the 1.5. Ladies and gentlemen, let's check out the brackets once more. After yesterday's opener for best of 3s, here we are now in the upper bracket semis. We're watching Fnatic Onyx Philippines face off against Falcon, RRQ versus TLID, more on that later. And in the lower bracket, SRG, NIP Flash, Vamos, Team Spirit. Gentlemen, is this what we expected?
I'll tell you what, I think the world expected 2 Filipino teams to be up there right now, right?
Don't remind me.
He has to.
But full of surprises, they're not there. Myanmar stepped onto the occasion. Falcon ready to rise and go up against Fnatic Onyx.
Today's schedule, ladies and gentlemen, those 2 BO5 matches. Fnatic Onyx Philippines tournament favorites, the Lightning and the Thunder, clapping over the skies for Falcon Esports. And then, of course, an MPLID rematch, the one that went 7 games. How hyped are you for that, Trex?
I'm very excited about it. I'm excited for both these matches. I'm hoping that the first match, becomes more of a coin flip than as one-sided as it could seem. But RQ TLID, like you said, we get the run back. We get the comeback, and they've been back and forth. I honestly feel like that game could go anyway.
Hey, less than 24 hours ago, you called those matches. You were on this very desk
right here,
watching RRQ face off against Vamos, watching Liquid ID face off against Team Spirit. Before we dive into our first best of 5, I want to pick your brain. What do you think is going to happen there? Because you saw them. Were they in tippity top shape?
What, Team Spirit? Or are we talking about TLID?
The
first match or second
champions.
match? The Indonesian. Yeah. TLID seems to continuously just outdo my expectations. They had a couple rickety games when we first jumped into Swiss stage, but so many teams had rickety games when we first jumped into Swiss stage, and they have completely tightened up. They feel comfortable in the draft, whether they're on blue or red side. Aaron Shiki continues to get more and more mechanically gifted, just seems to get more and more strong as this event goes forward. And they are a team that a lot of us have in our bingo book for finalists.
Yeah, that young man is untouchable. Weezy, gotta ask you, how you feel about these gold laners just shining over and over again? Like, day in, day out, over the past couple of weeks of competition, it seems like it's the gold laners really shining.
Yeah, you see picks rising to the occasion, like the Bruno with new additions and items. Like
Grenier?
Yeah, there you go, with the Malefic Gun. You ask Mirko, what does a Malefic Gun and a Bruno do? He'll tell you. I'm not gonna tell you, but he'll let you know. But nonetheless, it's full of excitement seeing these gold laners be able to shine. Even when you look at teams like RQ Hoshi, right? You get to see Skylar with a whole bunch of rookies on his side. And he still dominates in the gold lane as well. And it's just such a great time. The meta, there's just room for highlights for everybody.
I expect the meta to evolve even more as we go through our matches here today. Speaking of which, let's hone in on our opener. The best of 5 between the Philippines and Myanmar. It's aggression versus endurance. For the first time in the almost 5 years of Filipino dominance, I think, is it safe to say, Fnatic Onyx is the most aggressive champion out of that region yet.
Yeah, we were talking about this earlier, that for me as a Filipino representative, probably definitely one of the most aggressive Filipino teams to be slotted as a favorite. Philippines has always been prided for their macro capabilities, but FNOP brings this aggressive micro, I mean, where it just fits them so well, because right now what we're seeing winning games is the teams who can win out in these big 5v5s, the teams who can crucially find this moment to either find the turnaround, drag out a fight long enough, or hit those combos correctly, and FNOP has the whole package.
And they're one of the favorites right now to actually make it to Axiata. Again, each of these teams are on a pilgrimage to go to the hallowed grounds where in the very first World Championships were held. Weezy, do you remember where you were when we first had that? 2019. What were you doing in the latter part, Q4 of 2019?
Well, I was in the military, so I was actually deployed during that time. But nonetheless, if I know all about being a part of a team, being a part of a unit, and getting the job done, I'm hoping to see that same thing here today in the M Series. And man, just some explosive competition. In the first series, going in a best of 5 now, right? Whoever wins is going to secure a placement into the top 4.
These 4 teams are all marching towards one goal, to make it to Axiata. Falcon Esports, Fnatic Onyx Philippines, TLID, RRQ. The latter actually having been there to compete for the finals. And now, our first bout. Lightning in the sky. It's safe to say, Falcon Esports have their work cut out for them. It's these 3, Kelra, King Kong, Kirk, coming into their airspace.
The connection, right? Definitely. And they are a trio to watch out for. Kirk played such an amazing game yesterday. But also on the side of FCOM, man, PX7, Royal Milk, Kid X, these guys are, this is a trio as well, and a hungry trio that's been through the dirt, a trio that hasn't always even made it out of group stages. You know, a team that a lot of us have kind of doubted, and now they're here front and center, going against probably one of the biggest mountains they've ever tried to climb.
And this is the best they've ever looked. Again, it's the connection versus Triple X.
Now, I'll tell you what, right? From day one of the Swiss stage, we got a little bit of a debut with Fnatic on it, going up against Team Liquid ID. And everybody wanted to see it. A lot of people were predicting a sneak peek at a grand finals, possibly, right? And Fnatic Onyx showed up, not playing any games, and when it comes to aggression versus endurance, they're definitely on the aggressive side.
Hey, people were arguing that maybe yesterday's opener, rather second match and the opener, was actually also a grand finals preview, right? SRG versus Fnatic Onyx Philippines, but Trex will tell you, he was here in the crowd watching. I think that's the most aggressive we've ever seen Fnatic Onyx in M6. Even starting from the draft, they attacked Sekais.
Yeah, you know, in game 1, we were in the talent room watching, and everybody was very hype and going, and then game 2, everything just went silent, man. FNOP was just, they had the scalpel out. They were making surgery with that Tigreal pick and that Yves pick. I mean, from the first kill that they put on the map to the last, it was disgusting. I haven't seen a team play like that, I don't think, yet in M6.
So, with that said, if Fnatic Onyx are coming in with a scalpel, maybe a scabbard, a scimitar, a sword, if you will, does Falcon Esports have the right kind of shield? Is that forged with the right kind of steel? Can they hold out in a best of 5?
It's going to be challenging, but not impossible. And I think with what I've seen so far in the M Series, it's the age of upsets, right? It started right from the beginning of the knockout phase and also the beginning of the Swiss stage. A lot of teams being shut down. Now, keep in mind, Falcon, they took down SRG during the Swiss stage. Had a really great performance, and they also took down Aurora MLBB. So, honestly, I think right now is a great time for them to rise to the occasion, and this is another thing for them to try and check off the list, but definitely going to be possibly their hardest challenge yet.
I'm actually looking at the stats and the game times for Fnatic Onyx, whether it be average win, average game in general, it seems like that might be one stat that Falcon Esports can use to their advantage. They can actually slip through the cracks, because if Triple X can hold out, maybe the connection has to get staggered. Maybe they have to let through. Your thoughts on this, Trex?
I definitely think, I mean, no matter what, when you push it to that late game, there's an opportunity for both teams. But also, I don't completely doubt out FCON being an aggressive team when they want to be. We saw them go Roger. You know, we saw them pick Jungle Roger and win with it. So definitely a team that can pull out some picks, catch you off guard, catch you by surprises.
Something tells me the super family, the way they tick, and have the huge target on their back, maybe that will benefit Falcon Esports here.
Yeah, honestly, I mean, like we said, the age of upsets. I mean, even one of the slogans was the kings are falling and the new faces are rising, right? So hopefully today we get that. I love to see things go the distance. Every time, you know, fun fact here, when me and Trex are on the desk together, we always see things go the distance.
Long games.
Long game.
Turnarounds?
Turnarounds. I mean, you know how our
Game
NACP
sevens,
ended.
game
Game 7.
fives.
We saw a reverse sweep in a Game 7. How often do you see that?
Well, not often enough. So maybe here today, ladies and gentlemen, you see here on display, fresh out of yesterday's broadcast.
Display, God.
How Fnatic Onyx is just so in your face.
Super Friends was so good at waiting to the last second to use that RWM. He would wait until they're right there. So you think you're about to get away. Down comes the RWM, instant stun. So there's no sidestep ability. He knows how to distance that wall so perfectly to where it's almost just a quick stun instead of a slow.
Let's talk about how Falcon Esports, after dropping Aurora, after dropping big name after big name in the group stage in the Swiss, they're able to just force these games to such a point wherein it's an inevitable win. They mastered the long game, it seems.
Well, I'll tell you what, if anybody had guest coins, they were probably betting on their downfall, especially up against a team like Aurora or SRG, who you even said was a potential grand finalist position that a lot of people were betting on, and they took them down, right? So we can't count them out just yet. If there's any team that has the capability for an upset, it has to be Falcon Esports.
Yeah, I think if there's one thing we know about Myanmar, you know, the reps, we can never exactly count them out. They've only really had about a year or so of where they've kind of had some troublesome games, right? The 2 MSCs and M5. But for a while, they were always a region that we would look at and know anything can happen when we're looking at Falcons or Myanmar in general. And what a better way to set things off in the knockout than Philippines versus Myanmar.
And that's exactly why their strength and their rise isn't a surprise to me. Personally, I know you know a bunch of friends, maybe you yourself have lost a good bunch of guest coins on Falcon Esports, but I think it's safe to say, I told y'all so that Falcon would be here as a powerhouse. I put him in my knockout stage predictions.
Oh, you did?
I put him clean in my top 8. So with that said, I do think that this should be a must-watch. This has to be a series you wouldn't want to miss. Ladies and gentlemen, a best of 5 between once more the Philippines and Myanmar, the Filipinos and the Burmese. Here's the thing. Did you know, this is a stat brought to us back by our writing team, Myanmar actually won more games head-to-head against the Philippines in the history of MLBB esports.
Yeah, they're positive in their books right now.
Barely, but yes.
They are. They're positive in their books right now.
And then looking back at it, they actually started off on a better foot in the M series. They placed higher than our teams then, Sun Sparks and Onyx Philippines. They went into the upper bracket at M2, lost the 4-3 reverse. So that being said, Falcon Esports is a true force of nature. Like, they are a force to be reckoned with.
Yeah, they got some legacies to live up to, right? I mean, you see Burmese schools from M2, and now full circle, back here again in Malaysia. This is their time to shine, but only them. Only they can put that pin on that book and write that story.
Let's talk about that legacy. Gentlemen, folks at home, Falcon Esports is the second or third coming of this roster in the MLBB esports world. They're living up to that legacy and as well their promise to make it to the grand finals and as farther than that alongside the Burmese Ghouls. Which legacy do you think weighs heavier on their shoulders?
I think, honestly, I think the Falcon legacy, even though Burmese Ghouls is the one who started it all,
went that far.
I still feel like Falcon, because they hold that name and it's such a different roster than the Naomi roster from back then, I think the Falcon fans, you know, are probably a little harder on them than the Myanmar fans in general.
I'll tell you what, I'm actually the opposite, and I think it's just because it's full circle, right? You get to see them come here, and they want to pretty much do a repeat of what Burmese schools did. And honestly, that'd be an insane story. I mean, you're talking about years and years of work to get to this point, a new roster to do so as well. And hopefully they can rise to the occasion, but they are going against the heaviest hitters so far in the M Series.
And I think that's that same fact that makes it all the more interesting for Falcon is they're getting pulled in so many different directions that they're trying to make this work. So, ladies and gentlemen, with that said, we're going to welcome our teams. Enough talking about them. Let's bring in these athletes.
That's right, as you are seeing the heavy competition, Fnatic Onyx, favored to rule the world, driven by regional pride. They fight not just for victory, but for their country's legacy. They are the super family, Fnatic Onyx Philippines!
And let's welcome their opponents.
From underdogs to game changers, they have soared above every challenger, looking to make it past another obstacle. Give it up for Falcon Esports!
The pride of the Philippines versus the pride of Myanmar. Here they are on stage, led in by their coaches. Coming up, it's Coach Why Not and Coach Hayes of Fnatic Onyx Philippines versus Coach Nyochao and Coach RC of Falcon Esports. I'm getting the vibes, gentlemen. Throwing back to M2, throwing back to M4. Like, this is that match.
And I love how you started. You know, you laid it all out so well, Leo. Filipino dominance started against Myanmar. That was the Philippines' first world stage crown, their first big trophy. That's when the era began. And there's always the talks in Discord corners. There's always the talks in YouTube chats about when will the era end. So the question is, can Falcon Esports make full circle here and try to reclaim some of that power?
And only them can answer that, right? And we have to see how they match up against Fnatic Onyx. I mean, you see King Kong in the jungle just swinging around, getting the job done. The team yet to really be defeated or have much major competition, even against TLID. It was a clean victory, and you saw them in control of the entire game with little to no struggle.
In about a minute and change, the match will begin. That means the draft will be upon us. But for now, go ahead, claim this redeem code. This is for y'all, part of this, making M6 all the more special. Thank you all so much. That's for y'all. Type it in before it goes, before it runs out. Now, I hear that we have a few words with the beast himself, King Kong, telling us about how they beat SRG. First of all, they didn't expect anything, but they want to win M6, and they never assume that they are stronger. At the end of the day, they're just doing their job, and they got to be confident in everything that they do.
You know what I love about that? A team that's confident, but a team that is also humble, right? Everybody sees them as a potential grand finalist here in M6, and not to breeze through and say, oh, we can stomp through everybody, but to be very humble about the experience says a lot about King Kong. It says a lot about Fnatic Onyx.
It's very Filipino of them, you know? Just they feel confident. And I feel like FNOP has come into this just with the confidence, right? They have their pop-off moments, you know, Kelleher with a little banter here and there with some of the other gold laners, but overall, they come into this very confident, just knowing this is just another Friday to us, man. This is just another day of drafting, another day of gameplay. We saw him at the hotel last night, just RGing, man. RGing, late night RGing in the lobby, just hanging out. This is just another day for these boys.
And that's what makes it so scary. When you're Falcon Esports, you're up against not just one of the strongest teams in the world, but you're up against a machine. You're up against a team that just follows the process and somehow ends up with the best possible outcome.
I mean, right now, it's no secret. The underdogs are definitely Falcon Esports, right? And a lot of people are expecting this game to go over to Fnatic Onyx. But with Falcon's backs against the wall, I say two things when it comes to pressure, right? It either bursts pipes or it makes diamonds. And today, we'll be able to see that between these two amazing teams, and we'll have to see just how they fare off.
Folks, it's time for us to get the game started. We're in the draft.
Butterflies.
Blue side, red side. Calling it now.
By lantern's light.
It looks like Fnatic, Onyx, Philippines are going to be on the play. Falcons on red, get that two-pick swing. There goes the Alpha, the Hylos, and the Granger. Falcon take out the Fanny and the Zushin.
Okay, so does FCON get rid of the Bruno here, right? With the Granger being banned out, I don't think we've seen a first phase blue side Granger ban at all just yet. This may be one of our first, and I think it's a real power ban from FNOP here.
It's a clear tell. Coach Tony, Coach Hayes, they're attacking Benny and Dax. So here's my call. Blue Yo. Unless I guess Falcon ban it out.
Since you're new, Blue Suyo. Blue side Suyo. That's Blue Yo.
Oh.
They banned it, so they're reading it as well.
It's taken off the table, but there is the Bruno locked in for Fnatic Onyx, and Bruno 93% pickup rate and 55% on the win rate. Honestly, it's been such a heavy hitter, and a lot of teams try and find a way to work through it, right? We've seen the Angie Ling come out. Sometimes it worked in their favor, but other times completely got dominated.
I love that gambit. It's either you ban the Suyo here, we end up with it, or we take the Bruno. I think that was a good move, a good opening gambit by Fnatic.
It might have honestly been better just to do a throwaway ban, leave them both open for Falcon, right? Because I think that was the plan for FNOP. It's like, listen, we're going to force you to ban one of them. We get one of them no matter what. So now, what does FCON respond with?
Hey, the Eve is still on the table. Definitely something picked up. The Mathilda is still currently walking. The
Hilda also on the field. Joe.
Phobius and Joy.
All right, so it's not like Dax was running out, not in the first phase. So they put Royal Milk on one of his specialties. If you ask me, so far in his history in M6, it's this, the Phobius, or the CC.
This is comfortable. Game one, it is a best of 5. We have to remember that. And if there's going to be a time that you go to comfortable picks, it is definitely game one. And FCON just sticking with that. FNOP, on the other hand, you pick up maybe jungler here, Cho, Alpha, or that was a Fredrin to counter against the Joy.
I like it, right? You have the Way of the Dragon, you have the crowd control, the knock-up. To stop that Joy in its tracks, I mean, that's one of the hardest things with the Joy is the mobility. Now having a means to slow him down, and the energy eruption from the Fredrin as well. It's definitely a power move from Fnatic Onyx.
Believe it or not, this is just King Kong's third hero in all of M6. The Beast has played Joy, the Beast has played Suyo, and just this, the Fredrin. Folks, quick fun fact about Kid X, he holds the highest assists in a single game record in M6. That's 20 with the Hylos. He scored that against NIP Flash, and he's, by the way, the #1 tank amongst aggregate scores in all of the tanks, all the roamers in M6.
Okay, and speaking of that, now we get our tank locked in first phase for the side of FCON, and it is the Tigreal, and we saw how good this Tigreal did against Fredrins in the past. It's a beautiful answer to it. It's a great way to either push away, lock him down for a second, and give this Joy the ability to do whatever it wants in the pit. Now, coming into bans, second phase, FCON still are going to need a gold laner. They're going to need a mid laner, an FNOP mid laner, and then EXP most likely.
And there goes that Hilda ban, going to take that off the table over there from Falcon Esports. Now, we have yet to see the Mage from either side. I mean, we have the Eve still available. The Aurora still can rise to the occasion. You know, I would say they could have went for the glue on Fnatic Onyx, right? Especially when you have this Phobius. But without the Mages on the table, the Vexana is still up for grabs.
And that's exactly what Fnatic Onyx attack.
Yeah.
This is a PX7 special. 1/3 of the XXX. You take it away, you force him on something else. Which I think they were expected to come through because of Tigreal and Vexana. Ooh, that's a lot of CC.
Hear me out. FCON, good mid laner choice. Aurora would be nice. I think we might see the ban. But we've seen this as Cillian a few times. We've seen it do great against the Fredrin, another big ranger, long distance mage. I think FCON, you find something that's backline, heavy backline.
I'm with ya, because so far, Fnatic Onyx, they have good front line. They have good front to back. But who are you going to send to go catch PX7 if he does get his hands on a Sicilian? Does Fnatic ban it here?
It's possible.
Is it worth
it? Could
it?
be. I mean, we've been building up the end game.
Because Eve is still open.
Eve is still open. That's
Which
another
one?
big backliner. But they need a mid laner too, so it's like we also want to look for counterplay. We want to look for these ideas.
And Prince on the Eve was a thing of beauty.
Yes.
Prince on the Farsa.
There is light.
Now,
They ban it.
Also
Oh, Louis.
ooh, call me crazy, right?
FCON's got to take Eve.
But I say, yeah, you gotta take this Eve up while it's available. They're gonna take the Farsa though, gonna lock in on a different side of artillery.
But that was also, we saw Super Prince on Farsa yesterday too,
That's
which
right.
was disgusting. So either one.
He made the Mage Prodigy look like a prodigy. Like, you are the prodigy, I'm the monster. That's what happened yesterday. So what does Prince pick up now?
I mean, is the Eve still viable against the
I mean,
Farsa?
That's fighting fire with fire.
Oh yeah, you're both just long range. Whoever gets the better position in that extent.
It does set up a better box, or at least an equally sized box, because you also have a Tigreal
Yeah.
for FCON.
Yeah, and you also have a Cho, which still can be flexed to the XP lane. If they do that, technically they could pick up the Mathilda, put the Eve in there, you have a means to escape, and you have a means to engage, and I think that would be a good read, especially up against this composition.
A flex like that could be vicious. On
Kirk has played it, and what a read! Wheezy on point.
Mr. Wiesman.
Wheezy F, is that for Fnatic? You got that Faramis Matilda combo, dirty duo here. We've seen it just a couple of times, a handful of times in MPL Philippines, and boy oh boy, was it quite the combo. So what's left for Falcons here? They still need a hero for Benny.
Gold lane, I mean, against the Faramis, what? They could pick up something like the Claude and go, we've seen a little bit. It's not that great right now, but at least counters, you could pick up Nabir's Passion,
Or
you know,
Melissa.
or Melissa to
So
stop the
Beatrix,
dive.
Claude,
Melissa are kind of my, I think that's the way we go.
Yeah, I would say Natan, but I don't know, looks a little shaky here. I think that's a good read. Definitely something that can play for survivability. You have a very heavy dive-centric composition and sustainability from Fnatic Onyx. So as we are seeing that last pickup, Carry locked in.
I mean, it does deal with the tankiness of Fredrin, but that Cult Altar, that's what I'm seeing the lack of right now. But at least they have the joy to help deal with that.
All right, with the pick set in, let's throw it over to our casters, calling the action. It's Naisu and Ingan.
Thank you so much to the panel. Wheezy, great to have you with us. What is up, guys? I'm Naisu, joined here on the desk with Ingan, here to bring you the action. It's our first best of 5 ahead of us. How we doing, man?
Man, I'm doing great again. First best of 5 finally. I'm hoping this is gonna go all the way, and at the same time, looking at the lineup, this is what Royal Milky used in game number 1 yesterday. The Phobias up against NIP Flash started things out strong with 7-0-7, and they're gonna look to replicate what happened yesterday.
Well, we're gonna find out if it works out. I know we've got a crowd here, so IOI Convention Center, are you ready? It's a ticket to the top 4 in Axiata on the line. It's our first best of 5. Heading into the land of Dawn, will it be Fnatic Onyx Philippines or Falcons Esports? And you guys get to cheer a little bit longer while we wait to get to the game. But we saw it, man. We saw the compositions. Our panel broke it down. Man, you know what? This is that point in the tournament where everybody's hyped. Everybody wants to know the top 4 teams that are going to be heading forward.
Whoever wins, again, will proceed to the top 4. And at the same time, looking at Fnatic Onyx Philippines, you know, this lineup is really rooted in the Filipino playstyle, the group ups. We even called it before the ultimate bonding experience. You have a Mathilda paired up with a Faramis, and this time it's also King Kong on the Fredrin. So it's like a bit of a throwback with what Fnatic Onyx Philippines, the super family, is going to show up against a Falcon Esports.
Well, you can see it, you know, familiar faces, of course, out there too. And I think that's the thing, man. The environment changes a little bit here, Ingan, especially when we have a best of 5. We saw this, you know, already when we kind of made that switch where we were in best of 1s for a while, and then you finally see some of the teams obviously performing in the best of 3. Now, the fact that this is a best of 5 for Falcon Esports, they've showed great things, and I think a lot of people really were awakened in a way, like seeing the Falcon Esports. And we know the region itself, very successful, you know, throughout even the M series previously. But I feel like this is a big statement depending on how this game falls out. So here we go. Let's jump into the game here. Started off game number 1, the best of 5. Ready to break this out again. As we get a look at the junglers, this is where it's really important. King Kong and Dax. We'll see if they can step up, especially Dax here. He's done amazing things, but Again, this is against King Kong. The guy has been the king of the jungle so far. Before we break it down a little bit further, everybody watching with us right now, M6 Pass.
Yeah.
It's now available.
It's actually the perfect time.
This is the perfect time.
To get the M6 Pass. While we head into a little bit of a troubleshooting, you can complete all active tasks during the event to reach level 75 for free. Get amazing rewards including Claude's Battle Emote, M6 Glory Avatar Border, Baksha's Battle Emote, and the new special skin, Baksha Dauntless Shield. You know what, Naisu? What's the best part?
Tell me.
It's all for free!
It's all for free. You can get that at level 75 for free.
But it's hard to get to level 75.
Hey, man, you know what? That's why there's the support chest, too. Don't forget.
Yeah.
If you got the diamonds, might as well spend it, you know?
Speaking of support.
There's the support.
There's the support of Falcon Esports. I mean, man, even during the team lineup, the team entries, they were all so hyped. Because again, Falcon Esports has been exceeding a lot of expectations. If you're going to go back to all the talent predictions when it comes to the top 8,
yeah,
I rarely see Falcon Esports on the board. And right now, just looking at their track record, they won against Aurora, lost against Twisted Minds, won against SRG, BTK, and yesterday, NIP Flash with a sweep.
I think that's why I was saying, you know, it's just they've come into M6, again, as a region, you know that they have a specific play style. They love to be pretty aggressive, and maybe that's what's needed here because our panel was the ones talking about this, man. They were saying that, you know, this might be one of the most aggressive Philippine teams that we've seen, you know, in Fnatic Onyx Philippines, and Falcon Esports, that might be the answer to the problem that a lot of teams are having facing against, you know, FNOP is, can you match their aggression? But I think it's always that question is like, if you can match their aggression, can you keep it up throughout the entirety of a game? Not just game one though, but like an entire series. And I think that's really where the test comes for a lot of the teams that will face off against teams like Fnatic Onyx Philippines. I mean, you can almost say the same too for a team like Team Liquid ID, where last night, you know, they very decisive so far just through the matches that they've been through, and Falcon Esports has showed it. And I think you really pointed this out too, just the fact that, you know, Royal Milk alone, you think about the XP lane and it's not, I mean, let's be real, the hero choices in the XP lane there's been some more variety in M6, but some people say, man, XP is a little bit boring, you know, but I would say players like Royal Milk, for example, and even Kirk. Kirk could be the same thing. Kirk popped off yesterday. He had like a deathless game on the Edith.
Even the Lord Steal.
Yeah.
We could forget that he was getting targeted, getting bursted down, but when a Primal Wrath with the Edith was all he needed to get the Lord. And I do like the fact that you mentioned the XP lane, because looking at the first neutral objective, the Turtle, no one rotates to the gold lane.
Yeah.
The gold lane is now the dead lane. They leave them be, give them enough space and time. It's all about the rotations in the XP lane. Who's going to clear up first? Who's going to get to rotate first? Who's going to be the aggressor first? And with the two XP laners, Royal Milk up against Kirk, we could see, I mean, action right away, even before 2 minutes.
Yeah, we'll see exactly how they kind of approach that. I think that's a good point too with the gold lane, specifically where, you know, they've known that they've been left to their own kind of devices, and then they usually just duke it out 1v1 their own. We do have a quote here though, while we go ahead and wait for things to get settled, from Coach RC, of course. From RC, we've been wanting to face FNOP since the Swiss stage to test our team's strength against the MPL Philippines Season 14 champions. As a Filipino myself, I'm excited for the challenge of competing against a full Filipino team. We hope to give them a good fight and show our surprise pick. Of course, we're aware of the strengths, so we only have about 50% confidence in this matchup. See you guys on the stage. Would you take the 50% confidence?
I think it's more of them not underestimating their opponents. Again, I do agree that it was better for them, of course, if they were able to face up against Fnatic in the group stage. Because even the coach of Fnatic Onyx Philippines, Coach Why Not, he also mentioned that the Swiss stage was actually, it's like it exposes the teams. It makes you question if you're really good, because it's all best of ones. And for Coach RC, I know he's excited to go up against Fnatic Onyx Philippines to test their strength. Luckily for him, even if they lose a couple of games, there's still a chance for them to come back, because again, it's a best of 5 series. A lot of room for them to show the surprise picks that they are bragging about.
I think the surprise picks they have been happening, you know, throughout M6 so far. Either way though, we saw that video package yesterday alone where the lower bracket run, man. You know, if a team gets sent down to the lower bracket, we've seen this before where they make that, what they call it, the lower bracket buff, the lower bracket run, where they eventually get to the grand finals and then, you know, end up becoming champions there if they can. But I think either way, you know, you work with this. And here you go.
Okay.
Good luck with it. That's the support chest, I believe, right? Hey, good luck.
Good luck. Let's see.
What's he get?
I'm not sure. Okay, he's going
Actually,
for one more.
He's just spending it all. This is another way you guys can level up your M6 pass right now. He's going.
Going for the
Just
level
hit max.
75.
I would hit max.
Let him take his time. It adds to the suspense, okay? You still got around, how many is that more? Around 5, 6 draws?
5, 6 draws. He's got about 200 diamonds left.
Oh, 300 XP? Okay.
Congratulations.
Okay.
Level up that pass while you can. Yeah, man, I don't know. I think once we eventually get to this game, that's where you have to see. If Falcon Esports, if they get the advantage early on, I think we might actually see, because have we seen Fnatic Onyx Philippines really struggle? I mean, at all M6, if we think about it, you know, and a team to go into this and kind of say, you know, you do obviously respect a team that is, most people would say, tournament favorite now up to this point. You know, so you got to approach it with a certain kind of mindset, I feel like, and if that's 50% confidence, but also you're just kind of respecting on what the fact that Fnatic has done to all the teams they've played at this point, that's the best thing you can do.
I think it also goes the same way for Falcon Esports. Again, just looking back at who they faced up, who they brought down. Fnatic Onyx Philippines, they can't also underestimate this emerging team in Falcon Esports. And going back to your major point a while ago, if a team like Falcon Esports can match up the intensity, the pace, the tempo of Fnatic Onyx Philippines, that's going to be put into question for game number 1. But the thing that I'd like to highlight also is what Leo has been saying.
What do you say?
That King Kong has been transitioning slowly to some sort of a utility jungler. I mean, for the first half of the respective MPL, we've been seeing King Kong use the Fannies, the Lings, the highly mechanical assassin players, but right now he's been resorting to a Suyu that has an Impure Rage for added sustain, and now the Fredrin, giving a lot of time for Super Friends and for Killer to shine up, stack up, and be the main course of their team. So it's going to be a question of, it's not going to be a question of if you can match Fnatic Onyx Philippines tempo. It's going to be about, oh, it is that.
I was gonna say, I'm waiting for you.
It is that nice too.
It is that. But here's the thing.
No, but the thing is it going to be a high, fast-paced tempo that you're going to be matched up with? But looking at this right now, it's a Fredrin. We all know the Fredrin has sustainability. It's more sustained, more controlled. So you don't know what type of aggression Fnatic Onyx Philippines will be releasing now.
If it's anyone, man, it's King Kong that's going to be the aggressive Fredrin. You know, like, he might be able to go ahead and pull that off if that's the plan. Really, for a lot of people that have been watching up to this point, especially Swiss Stage, you know, Fredrin, you automatically think of Mobazane, of course, found success with it and made it work. But this time that it's going to be in the hands of King Kong, and I think we are going to be getting a glimpse at King Kong here, is his playstyle and how he likes to go ahead and utilize even these utility junglers. You know, just looking at here, whether it's the Joy, whether it's this Fredrin, whether it's the Suyo, he has a certain playstyle. And I think that aggression, but it's also what a lot of people would call it, is just this kind of calculated aggression that teams haven't been able to tame him. You haven't been able to tame this guy in the jungle just yet. And I feel like every single time a team does approach FNOP, that's one thing on that box of the multiple boxes that they have to check off.
Yeah, and not to mention Super Friends, apart from King Kong, has also been popping off. Right now, for the side of Falcon, PX7 has the Farsa, but yesterday it was actually Super Friends who first used the Farsa, popped off with a Feathered Airstrike, became a menace up against their opponent's SRG for this specific game. And just looking at King Kong with the Joy, and how will the question is, how will you tame the beast in his own jungle?
I don't know, man. You got to be able to tame it. No, go with the max.
Okay, he's going with the max. He's
43.
going with the nice Sue style.
Okay, 20. We're doing
20.
half. How much XP is this? We got to look really closely.
Oh, it's Delar.
It's Delar. Hey, what's that? 5,000 XP?
I can't do quick math, bro. let's ask Delar.
Good luck, Delar. Last one.
Last one, go.
Oh. Daddy got 7,000 XP. Hey, we're going back to the game. Congratulations for all the XP. And now we can catch back up. Again, only a minute into this. So nothing too crazy just yet. I'm not sure also if we got a glimpse at the emblems, but maybe we get a picture at that. We can see them here. King Kong did go Concussive Blast with the Fredrin. He is going to be up against Dax running that Temporal Rain. This is the typical thing we've seen from the Joys here. But also with this, again, it's Royal Milk. I think if anything for FNOP to deal with, it's not letting Royal Milk have that kind of similar experience he had on the Phoveus yesterday, where he was just had a massive game in his favor.
Yeah, again, he started out strong with a 7-0-7, looking at the emblem set. Okay, so King Kong really go. Oh, Dax! First it down, Brusco. I was just busy looking at the emblems, and Dax, it all happened in a flash. Took down the Bruiser with one electrifying beats.
That's how fast it can happen, especially with a Joy across from you. So now Turtle's up. FNOP's going to start this up. They do have the advantage, and it's quickly going to go down. So they are going to just trade this out. King Kong will secure that. But look at the moves here from Falcon Esports. Dax trying to take the purple. Might get cut off here, not able to go and secure it.
Oh, here comes Kelra, and the kick also getting gacked up by 4. And that's the trade Fnatic Onyx Philippines went with. They got the turtle plus a shutdown onto Dax.
So they get that, they make it work. Now possibly looking for more. Royal Milk also here in the mid lane, but holding it down once again. Objective secured for FNOP, and that's what they're probably going to focus on the most. That's why they also have the Fredrin. And just the amount of pure utility they have, man. That's, I think, one of the biggest obstacles in this game one that they have to overcome. Here we go again. Now taking a look at the emblems. Look at all the quantum charges here for FNOP. Of course, plus the 2 concussive blasts to help with that clear speed, but tanky enough to sustain a lot of the damage. We'll see if it works out. Kid X.
Implosion, Sacred Hammer gonna connect with Super Prince, making sure Kirk is safe with the Nether Realm, but that's one major resource expended by Fnatic Onyx Philippines. So far, Kid X still a good catch.
This is what I was saying, though. It's all about getting through that utility. I mean, we're talking about a Matilda and a Feramis. A combination that, you know, you got to have a lot of things to throw at that, just the utility alone to go and overcome it. And then on top of this is withstanding these setups from Kirk. I mean, a lot of times lately we've seen Cho just going in the roam, you know, and playing that. Here we go.
This is the aggression we were all talking about Fnatic Onyx Philippines zoning out once again. Kid X now going to transition onto the top lane, going to try and get down energy shields, zoning out Benny, but here comes PX7 though with the Wings by Wings.
They're going to get some extra gold here for Kelra, working on that turret, nearly half down now. Turtle's going to be up shortly here, so we'll see how they rotate through this. Royal Milk still holding down the bottom side alongside Kirk. They'll go ahead and just duke it out a little bit as the rest of the team gets in position. I'm wondering, does Falcon Esports actually want to contest this, or do they let it go? They might have to rely on Kid X setup potential. He's got the implosion ready as well as the flicker. There they go.
Okay, here comes the Shadow Stampede, but Royal Milk goes in with the Infernal Pursuit. Implosion gonna connect, paired up with the Feathered Airstrike, but Super Prince once again with the Nether Realm. Dax going in from the back line with the electrifying beast, gonna bring down King Kong, but Royal Milk once more gets 2, a double with the Infernal Pursuit. No, make it 3. Kirk answers with a kick. Kelra gonna feed him off. Double also for Kelra. But Falcon Esports, they won that trade. They got 4 kills plus this turtle.
It's looking like Royal Milk again gets the triple kill. All that under the tier 1 turret too. A great fight from Falcon Esports, and that'll also get them a turtle. So they've got that fight in them, and Fnatic Onyx now has to adjust from that. You know, it was a great initiation at the start, and they responded well, but then they just get collapsed out, and that's what the Phoveus does.
Yeah.
He allows you to just go ahead and get the airtime with the Infernal Pursuit and just dunk on people, turret or not. And so Kelra nearly getting that tier 1 turret up on the top side. He's going to be fine. Guiding Winds out. Dax will get his first item locked in now. Starlium Scythe. Glowing Wand also for PX7. Some of these first items already coming into play. Okay. Mid lane though.
Energy Eruption. Going to try and poke down Kid X, so he doesn't have the health to zone out the members of Fnatic Onyx Philippines. And looking at the previous clash, apart from what Royal Milk did, we have to commend again the mid duo of Kid X and PX7, but we have to commend Brusco because he goes in with the Guiding Wind. Woo! And now saves Kelra. That was 2 objectives, resources expended by Falcon Esports. On the other hand, Royal Milk here trying to zone out Super Prince Kirk. Well, we see a kick and it connects.
There's the kick. They're going to find the target. Kid X out of the picture.
And now their next target is Royal Milk Super Prince. Clutch NetherRealm once again to out-sustain the damage of Falcon Esports. And this time, no trade for Falcon.
You see the amount of utility that we're talking about. Oh, Benny could be in trouble.
Oh, use up the retry. Still has the Purify, but here comes that Startling Eagle, bringing King Kong with him. And bang, bang, boom, Benny goes down.
Benny nowhere to run. Not going to be able to get away from that. Again, this pressure that is put on with the utility, whether it's a Guiding Wind, whether it's a NetherRealm, it's so much mobility that FNOP wants to play around with, that Falcon Esports is going to have to adjust from it. But still, you have to take a look. Jungle's doing fine. Dax is there. PX7 will go ahead and clear out the wave with the Feathered Airstrike, and now Turtle up. Last one in the game. 1 for 1 for both teams. Still, Falcon Esports can choose to fight this. They're going to keep Benny up on that top side, possibly trading if they can. Royal Milk will go ahead and just hold this front side. Uh-oh. Hold on. They got to watch out, though. Kirk on the hunt for this, too. Still, this could be a full-on fight. 5 versus 4 here. They're going to force Kid X back. Dax might try to jump in. Gets... Oh, no. He's in trouble.
Oh, the kick flicker combination from Kirk to take down Dax. And now they're going to get a turtle. But Benny answers back with a turret top takedown. Now, Fnatic Onyx Philippines, they're in a roll, in full control. King Kong used up his retribution to force PX7 to use the flicker and wings by wings. Fnatic Onyx Philippines holding to a 1.7k gold lead.
Good push from Benny. At least they got something out of it, but Fnatic getting a whole lot in this. They're going to drag Kid X.
Shadow Stampede forced to use the Sacred Hammer for Kid X to walk away. And now the thing is, the thing that's happening right now, Falcon Esports, although they were able to get previous trades during the first 4 or 5 minutes, it wasn't the proper target. I mean, looking at the composition of Fnatic Onyx Philippines, they're going to feed all the resources to Kelra because he's going to be the main win condition of Fnatic Onyx Philippines. And if you keep him alive, even if Brusco falls down, King Kong falls down, Kirk falls down, it doesn't matter as long as the gold standard is alive for Fnatic Onyx.
And that's what I'm wondering for Falcon Esports. Just with everything that they have available, going against even the 3 Purifies alone, and then we've all seen it before, how Kelra positions himself. The reason why he is called the gold standard is something that they want to be able to go and solve. And looking at the items, you know, they are falling behind in the gold lane here. King Kong, tanky enough, confident enough to go and just fight for this purple buff. Might force out, the red trees goes in. Gonna be fine though, they do kind of disengage, keeping Kid X at bay here. Not sure if Falcon Esports actually wants to take a fight. They're just kind of slowly whittled down. Even with the Ghost Bursters alone, the turret finally falls. Kelra working on it. Now for the tier 2. The focus here, they might force a fight. Kelra, the damage!
One more! So Kelra gets a kill onto Benny. The next target is Royal Milk Infernal Pursuit. He's going to bring that one with him, but Kelra says, I'm going to take 2 and bring them down. Fnatic Onyx Philippines transitions to the middle lane.
Again, Kelra, and now under the turret, the tier 2 is in trouble. PX7 is gone.
The aggression of the Super Family, I mean, all throughout the game. They're grouping up, finding kills. Even if you look at the lineup, Falcon Esports, they have a good counter initiation with Kid X with the implosion, but the problem is, he's having a hard time setting because Kelra has proper targeting. The main damage dealers of Falcon Esports are falling apart even before Kid X has an opportunity to cast his ultimate.
My goodness, the amount of damage that Kelra has right now, as we saw just from that glimpse, as Lord is secured now for FNOP. You know, what is he at? Haas Claws, he's got the Berserker's Fury, he's just got the Rose Gold Meteor Dog, he's got, you know, Malefic Gun too. He's got all the space in the world to work with. And so with this, Falcon Esports falling further behind in this game 1, they're going to have to go ahead and get ready for a defense against this Lord push. You still have that wave pushing up top alongside Kirk into that tier 2 as they get ready. They might have to pull a miracle play out here with Kid X. If they can get things set up, King Kong on this side of the jungle.
Okay, Dax still gets this purple buff. And here comes the force. Fnatic Onyx Philippines will take down Royal Milk once again. They have a Lord marching in the mid lane. You know, looking at the game, it's not a good game to be a Farser right now because the dive composition of Fnatic Onyx Philippines is just too much. I mean, you have Cho, you have Matilda, even King Kong has been diving for Fnatic Onyx Philippines, and now they're sieging in with the Lord. PX7 casts his Feathered Airstrike, but has to cancel it right away because of the threat Fnatic Onyx Philippines has.
Looking to close the game out, still with the Lord marching in. Falcon Esports has to go ahead and defend. They're getting whittled down. They will take care of the Lord, though, so that might be all they get. FNOP still waiting for the rest of the waves to push in. They want the rest of the base turrets. But now in full force, Falcon Esports. Can they hold on to their base? The shields are gonna pop. Kelra just taking a couple shots there. Look at the damage on Royal Milk alone. And there they go, still trying to end it here.
Oh, the implosion is there, last effort, but Super Friends once again saves the Super Family with the Nether Realm, but here comes the counter-attack coming in from Falcon Esports, gonna bring down King Kong. One member down for Fnatic Onyx Philippines, but they're gonna transition up top and try to bring down the other side like a Kelra! Even on the face of 4 members of the Falcons!
He's going dead!
Phase wants to go for more, gets the double, Kurt gets the kick, feeds Kill with the triple. Is this gonna be a main? The Kelra wins it for Fnatic!
The gold standard will go in with a cleanup and a maniac. 11:40 a game for Fnatic Onyx Philippines to start the best of 5. Can the Falcons rise higher than this? That is the question, because what a game, what a performance from FNOP.
The Super Family again showing, extending their dominance even up against Falcon Esports. Kelra picks up a Maniac and they have a comfortable lead in this best of 5 series with a 1-0.
Ooh, again, amazing performance. I know our panel wants to go ahead and break this down a little further. What do you guys think about game 1?
From where we come from, they call that a lightning round. In just 11 minutes and 40 seconds, Fnatic Onyx Philippines walks away with the dub. Given this is a best of 5, what a way to set the tone. Gentlemen, Wheezy, it's your first time on the M6 stage. How's that for you?
Explosive, right? I mean, I kind of expected the Mathilda to come out there, but I didn't expect the Faramis to be alongside it. But having the double support, it seems like the mission was protect the president, trust in Kelra, and he got the job done.
Yeah, you know, you think it's hard to kill Kelra, right? It's already very tough, but you add a Mathilda that stands behind him nonstop, you add a Colt Altar, and it is literally impossible at this point. I don't know how you break through that right there. Kelra wasn't even in Protect the President mode. He was in King, I'm gonna hold the front line mode. I mean, he was leading the attack half of those fights.
Homie was straight up Rob Stark, King of the North. Let's go ahead and check out the stats here. What did that game look like by the numbers? Again, 16-6. Kelra 9-0-5. Just barely finishing his build, by the way.
Yeah, that's so average 3-item build. Just to like break it down for him, average 3-item build is about 8-9 minutes. 8-7 minutes, you're doing very, very well. 9-10 minutes is probably like average time. You're maybe getting to your 4th. This man was maxed out. We're talking maxed out, 11 minutes, 40 seconds.
6 slots.
And he got 6 slots filled, probably around 11-minute mark, I'm sure. You know, maybe a little after 11 minutes, but still, that is insanity. I mean, that is just, there was no catching up to that.
He put the gold in gold standard.
He put the gold in gold standard.
Yeah, I mean, even with the itemization, right? When we see the Brunos go in for the Haas Claws, Berserk Sphere, then the Malefic Gun, he did it in a little bit different of an order, right? He went to Haas Claws and then he goes straight into the Malefic Gun. He's playing not only for the survivability, but also able to attack from afar to sustain himself. And that's what made him so hard to take down. 9-0-5.
Let's talk about the build on King Kong, because your pride and joy, the heart and soul of NA, Mobazane made Fredrin a pick again, a legit pick, and look at that. King Kong, his 3rd hero, was the Fredrin. It's built a little different.
Yeah, he definitely went for a bit more of a tanky build there. We saw Mobazane sometimes go for the Thunderbelt.
That's right.
Instead, and Mobazane still did the same thing. Half a Molten Core. There were some other games where he didn't, and you could see the slowness in the jungle. So King Kong picks up the Molten Core, picks up the Helm, picks up a little the Athena Shield, just in case PX7 gets out of control, just in case Dox gets out of control. And instead of going for the Radiant Armor, I really like the Athena Shield, because it's that security against PX7.
And it's that big booty, the HP. Like, you just get it, and it amplifies everything else the Fredrin does. Let's talk about Falcon Esports this time around. The way they drafted, the way they built their lineup, it's nothing we haven't seen before, especially from them. It's the core on the Joy early on, PX7 and Artillery Mage, sandbagging on Royal Milk early to mid, and then you're waiting for Benny, which was unfortunate. Benny never really got online.
Man, I was wondering what the damage was going to look like, right? Especially over there for Kelra. 80,000 damage skyrocketing over everybody else on the board. I mean, you had a couple of members, 1, 2, maybe even 3 members from Falcons.
3 is safe.
3 is safe.
Yep, add up all their damage, and that's Kelra's alone.
And you know, Falcons started off well. Docs got that early kill, but then it was immediately traded back. And they get the kill on the Brusco, but then Docs goes down. And from that point, it just felt like FNOP was like, all right, fine, we're going to press the gas now. And you look at FCon's composition, you look at this carry, you look at this Farza, all of these heroes need about 3 items to really pop off. And they just couldn't get there. And when they did get there, FNOP was already so defensive and so aggressive, there was no turnaround.
And is it just me, or is Falcons lineup too honest for what Fnatic Onyx is doing? It's too clear that, hey, this is where the damage is coming from, this is the power spike in early to mid, and then we fight for inevitability. Fnatic Onyx did not allow for any of that.
You know, it's just textbook, right? Sometimes going with the simpler method breeds better results, and Fnatic, right? Trusting in the damage of Kelra. Everybody else, I mean, we were even looking at the emblems. Very sustainable, very mobile, but no damage. It was only Kelra the one dishing out that damage, and they just trusted in that Haas Claws, that Berserker's Fury, and that Malefic Gun to rise to the occasion. Speaking of Kelra, there he is himself, that big old smile, ready to lead the way for Fnatic Onyx.
The gold standard is our MVP for game number 1. Screenshot this right now. This is how you build and this is how you play a Bruno.
Yeah, I even love the fourth item RGM, Rose Gold Meteor. And so a lot of people would save that for last, and that becomes your juggle item. But it just goes to show Kelra was playing so aggressive in that matchup, and I'm sure when we see some of these MVP highlights, we'll see it, how he was in the front line. He always had Brusco behind him. He always had the Cult Altar ready to go. And then just to pick that up as your 4th item shows that, listen, I'm going to get aggressive, man. I'm 8-0-5 right now. I'm 9-0-5. I'm going to get in your face and just be that guy.
Hey. Got Rose Gold, dog.
He's got Rose Gold, dog.
If anybody knows what that is,
yeah,
it's us from North America.
Rose Gold,
right?
dog.
Hey, man, a great game for Kelra. Now the question is, how does Falcon respond?
We'll see here in the highlights how Kelra went behind enemy lines, in their face, and around these choke points to be able to kick balls straight into Falcon Esports' face. Something to note, you'll see here the positioning of Brusco constantly being close to the back line so that Kelra would have a pull out. You have Super Prince, who's about in the middle of all that to make sure that there's reliable damage from the Ghost Bursters. Where does this put Kirk and King Kong?
I mean, this puts Kirk and King Kong essentially wherever they want to be, but King Kong normally holding front line, looking for angles, looking for those taunts, right? Looking for anything to buy that little bit of time. And look at King Kong here as well, kind of looking for the back, putting pressure, just in case Benny did try to get away there. He was there to catch him. There was zero escape for Benny, even if he gets past Kelra. And then these are the big mistakes we start seeing from Royal Milk, going a little overextended. And towards the end here, Kelra just consistently holding the front. Brusco never even engages.
See, that's the challenge, though, when you run the Phobias, right? As soon as you go with the Infernal Pursuit, you're in the middle of the battle.
You're in the
no
thick
way
of it.
out. Yeah, you're in the thick of it. And when there's that much sustainability that you have to go against, it's very hard to deal the damage necessary to get to the backline, to get to Kelra, the target that they were looking for.
And as sound as that is, Falcon Esports may have made it work against other teams, other powerful teams here in M6, but against Fnatic Onyx, especially if you give them this Faramis and Matilda duo, there has to be more in the tank. Ladies and gentlemen, the ROG Phone 9 is the official gaming phone of M6. Unleash unmatched gaming performance with the ROG Phone 9 Pro, a mobile masterpiece that seamlessly blends high-powered gaming with a sleek, modern aesthetic.
That's how Kelra's so good.
Yeah, no,
he uses the ROG.
Yeah, literally, the technology, the hardware is what also allows for Kelra to play like that. So now back to the drawing board. Let's talk about what Falcon Esports could do to maybe force, you know, an equal score here. 1-1 real quick. Was it the draft? Was it the execution?
Hey, it was a first pick on Bruno, and we've been asking the question the entire M6 series, right? Is it worth the ban?
The Bruno definitely worth the ban, but they got put in such a weird spot. FNOP drafted that first phase so well, leaving the Bruno or the Suyo open. It's like, listen, I'm gonna put this in your hands. And what a lot of red sides would do is normally it's we're going to ban something else, leave both of those picks open, so at least we get something in response. And then they don't do that. Okay, you give over the Bruno, but then they kind of also, FCON went for a little bit of comfortability. They immediately slot in the Phoveus, which is essentially should probably be more of a counter play, a counter pick. So I think FCOM, get out of that comfort zone. Game 1's over. It's time to kick things into gear.
More in what Falcon Esports could do here about the Fnatic Onyx experience, but let me remind y'all about the M6 lucky draw from the 18th of November to the 29th of December. Participate in the M6 lucky gift. Join the draw for a chance to win Claude's new epic skin, Challenger's Flare, and Beatrix's new M4 epic painted skin, Lightseeker.
Lightseeker. That sounds insane.
Yep. You don't want to miss the rare opportunity to get Beatrix's M4 exclusive skin. And as well, check out MCGG, a multiplayer strategy game now soft launched in Malaysia and Singapore. That's Magic Chess Go Go. Pre-registration is now underway for other APAC regions. No need for fast fingers. Strategy and luck are your keys to victory. Team up with your favorite heroes and strategize with friends wherever, whenever. Put your strategies to the test, outsmart your opponents, and claim the ultimate victory. I'm a Magic Chess OG since 2020 January, baby.
I like
He is too, though. He's been playing Magic Chess for a while.
This is a long time coming.
Who wins? You guys go up against each other? Magic Chess?
You want to catch the 1v1, bro?
Oh, you don't. I'm the Scarlet Shadow God. That's what they call me. You remember that?
Yeah.
That's right, the Hanabi Hayabusa.
I do actually. Scarlet Shadow, yeah.
That's some pretty OG
you get like a special skill from it. As long as you have them both, they both get a special skill.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That was one of those smaller.
I don't think that's going to be in Go-Go.
Hey, you don't know. Season per season, you don't know. They might bring it back. If your boy asks for it enough, maybe they put it back in.
I tell you what, we need an M series just for Magic Chess.
Caster MC Go-Go tournament.
Little Birdie told me there might be something in the works.
A little esporty stuff.
We'll talk about this later, but
I'd
now
gladly come to Southeast Asia for that.
back into the matchup here. Fnatic Onyx first on the board, 1-0. Luckily for all the Burmese fans, this is a best of 5, so we're just getting started. Fnatic Onyx, they did about 99% of that matchup correct. Falcon Esports, more on that. Wheezy, riddle me this. Draft-wise, what could Falcon Esports do better besides what our good old friend here, Herbert Wagner, shared?
Well, number one, take out the Bruno if you don't have a plan for
Just
it.
out of the form.
Just out of it completely. Definitely don't want that to walk, especially, I mean, look at their composition, right? They had a Mathilda and a Theramis. They had a lot of sustainability just to keep them alive. The whole goal was just to protect Kelra that entire game on the Bruno, and as soon as those 3 items came in, right? The Hawk's Claws, the Berserker's Fury, and the Malefic Gun, there was no way to stop him. I mean, we've seen teams pull out something like the Beatrix. Maybe the carry came out, and that was a little bit of a shocker to me, right? I didn't think the carry was going to be the pick there. I thought maybe something, we even discussed it, right? A Claude, something a little bit more survivability. But yeah, just the pressure in the gold lane is yet to be matched for Fnatic Onyx.
Talking about that draft, it looks like they were drafted into a corner, and it's this man right here that's responsible for the situation right now. It's the teams themselves. We'll be hearing more about why not in just a bit. The head-to-head here. Fewer games played by Fnatic Onyx, better results overall, but I did not expect the numbers to be this clean, to be this close, actually.
Yeah, I mean, there's still a little bit of skew. The win rate still favoring FNOP. Average turret, FCON, but we're still just getting started in this knockout stage. And you do have to also think about this as FNOP had a pretty early exit out of Swiss stage, to whereas Falcon played a few more games, had a bit more time to bump up those points. So I think overall, you know, we're looking at it. It's fair.
You know, and not to mention, you got to look at who they win against as well, right? Falcon hit down or burst down some heavy hitters. They took down Aurora.
Oh, I remember.
And they also took down SRG.
And
Aurora.
Oh, come on, man. It's too soon. It's too soon.
Who else did they take out?
We'll let...
We're not going to say it? All right, cool.
So
they took out BTK.
These stats are rolling. These stats are growing. And as we move forth through M6, you'll see that things are just looking better and better for Fnatic Onyx. I think it's time for Falcon to bring out the bigger guns. Maybe it's their turn again in an effort to change the tides and change the momentum, bring out something new. Would y'all agree that maybe it's time to go deep and maybe show us the likes of the Roger?
I mean, it's definitely doable. My only worry is against a team like FNOP, I wonder how things like that are going to do. You know, I just feel like they're such a grounded team that it is very hard to it's very hard to disrupt their flow. But again, that could be the fear that's in all of our minds. So it's like, that's why they don't do it. So maybe they just should. I mean, like I said, you have 5 games here. If it goes the distance, you have at least 2 more games, you know? So maybe it's time for that.
At least. That is bare minimum. Falcon Esports here, up against the ropes. I'm wondering what Coach Nyo Chow and Coach Arce are talking about behind the scenes, because it's Coach Wynot in the other room, staying ahead of the competition. They want to learn about what happened to Aurora. They fell short, and it's no longer just about the Philippines, but about the world. Every region has leveled up their game. There are other strong teams in M6. It's not just them, and it's up to them to make sure they stay one step ahead. They're very self-aware.
Yeah, and I'll tell you what, I mean, right now, they're the only Filipino team left in the M Series, so they got a lot of pressure on their backs right now, right? They have to hold that flag high and sail through the M Series, and so far, they have yet to disappoint. Now, how long can they keep that momentum up? As we get higher up this ladder and the elevation rises, teams are going to start dropping.
All right, talking about elevation, are you trying to get at what I think you are? Are you saying that Falcon Esports is just heating up? Falcon Esports is just getting there, and Game 1 was a gauge, a test? Because looking at the draft, again, say for that carry, I agree with y'all, say for that carry, it looked like it was very Falcon comfortable. It was just like, heroes, we've played before, heroes you've seen. Is that a good sign? Is that a sign of weakness, or more of just, you know, like an opening chess gambit?
I think they're going to spread their wings. I think it's about time to see that. We've seen it
right
happen.
now.
Yeah, it could happen. Could happen. I don't doubt anymore. I mean, there's times even in NACT when we thought things weren't going to happen and the world was surprised. And if I've learned anything from watching the M Series, it's been full of surprises and full of upsets. So as we get to Game 2, we'll have to see where it goes.
Yeah. And for the Falcon fans out there, I think you got to be hoping that that was just a stretch, right? That was the warm-up. That was, let's get our thumbs ready for Game 2, you know, crack some knuckles, and now we're in a place where let's push things a little bit. And a lot of that's going to come down to the coaches, right? With the way we saw draft last game, I think coach is going to be extremely important into this, but we do have a head-to-head between Kelra and Benny.
Okay, so far, it's clear that the numbers don't lie. Kelra, above and beyond. The question is, what do y'all see in Benny that might be the game changer? What can he do against the Filipino Savage, against the gold standard? Because numbers-wise, you can't beat Kelra.
I think it's you're in a spot where maybe the goal isn't to exactly beat Kelra.
Homie's
to find the cracks in the rest of the team, right?
Homie's a 5-time MVP in M6 so far. Top 1. Oh, behind him is Aaron, Shiki, and Skylar, 4 apiece. So with that said, Benny must be looking at that like, not toe-to-toe, not up front.
This is the goal. It's gold lane supremacy right now, and Kelra definitely sits at the top of that pedestal.
You know, it's funny with Benny, they say he's like the best Bruno out in Myanmar. So maybe if he gets the Bruno in his hands, it could be the difference. But as we are now jumping into the draft for game number 2 in this best of 5 for the knockout stage, day 2. And we see Falcons rise to the occasion and even out this series.
All right, opening up, it's Falcon Esports on the play. Fnatic Onyx answering back. A respect for Brusco's Matilda. And it's just another day in the office for Fnatic Onyx, banning out the usual Fanny and Jushin.
Yeah, I think it's pretty simple overall. My guess is FNOP once again is going to force FCON into some sort of trade. Now, FCON taking a page out of FNOP's book and banning out the Granger, and now this time Fnatic Onyx have that choice between the Suyo or the Bruno, but I don't think they're going to ban either, man. I think they're willing to throw the trade out. They are comfortable enough to be like, fine, pick which one do you want, man?
Exactly.
Because we're going to get 2 powers back. Hilda's still open. Cho's still open. So many options, and they ban out the Hylos. So now FCON is in the sticky situation once again. This is what FCON was supposed to do last game.
Yep, and FNOP made it happen from red this time. They did it blue, now it's in red. They go, all right. They get the Bruno, and now FNOP can go Suyo X, Suyo Hilda.
Suyo Hilda, Suyo whatever, honestly.
But it puts Falcon in a good situation, right? Like we said, Benny's definitely comfortable on this Bruno, but Fnatic on it, not gonna waste any time. 2 heavy hitters, the Cho and the Joy.
And the Joy has been known to do very well against the Suyo. It can win out in the 1v1s. We've seen so many junglers win out against the Suyo. It's one of the few junglers right now who can go to like toe-to-toe in terms of just 1v1. So now FCON has to think maybe they don't pick the Suyo. Maybe they go for something like the Alpha. Phoveus again. This one looks a little better against the Joy and the Cho.
Yep.
So maybe it's not complete comfort, but at least it looks good.
So in the first phase alone, I can say that Falcon Esports are again hedging on Royal Milk. A lot of their big wins in Swiss, and even in the opening day of knockout, was off of Royal Milk popping off. So far, it's looking like Falcon Esports have that, at least in the first phase. The Monster Mage picks up the Farsa once more. I like this against the Phoveus.
Well, we have to see what's going to be the response in the gold lane, though, right? I mean, we see the Bruno picked up from Benny. There's been a couple of different marksmen that have rose to the occasion. With the Granger being off the table, you still have the Moskov. You still have the Natan.
The Layla.
Doing really good. The Layla.
We saw it from Keller before against the Bruno.
That's right.
I'm just saying, we can't count Kelra out.
No.
I'm not even worried about his gold pick because it doesn't really feel like it matters that much. Like, he'll make ends meet with whatever you give him.
Exactly. Now, how hilarious would it be, but just as well, very justified, that Falcon bans the Bea and the Layla, and then they allow the fair pick of the Moskov.
You know, it'd be funny to see Fnatic Onyx pick up the glue. You know, especially, you could technically put in the XP lane up against the Phoveus and let the Cho
does well against it.
Run the roam position, and honestly, it'd be a really good pickup here considering the Cho's single target. Well, I guess not single target CC, but it's not as easily able to control the majority of the map. So I think that would be an excellent pickup.
Now, if that happens, I don't think I'd like to see the Layla, because there's nobody protecting you. That's 2 dive type of frontliners, and Kelra is left alone. Kelra's good, but not, no peel good.
I'm on the mind of FCON jungle right now, and Alpha's gone. Suyo is open, but I think FNOP wants them to go Suyo.
They'd rather
I'm
hit
almost
Suyo.
looking last, slot 5, they go for maybe an assassin here. Maybe it's time to bring out something like that, the Haya, something along those lines. We know they have that type of jungler in their kit, and it could be troublesome for the Farza and the rest of the team.
But the stats say Suyo has a better score over Joy. Is
Fnatic seen the 1v1?
Exactly. Is Fnatic Onyx the one to say, you know what? You don't know the beast. You don't know the Sigma jungler. You haven't seen him mewing, looks maxing, Ohio Phantom Tax. You haven't. So maybe they'll allow that. And that's exactly what they're saying here.
I mean, they can go for it. And it will work. I mean, it can work. It's pretty much whoever gets the first few kills, right? From what we've seen, we saw yesterday, we saw Joy win out sometimes. We saw the Suyo win out. Whoever scales a bit quicker is going to win out.
Yeah, right now you are seeing that Claude picked up. It's going to have a little bit of that survivability working inside of Kelra's favor. I mean, he was already hard to kill before, right? But now it's going to be even more challenging. Not to mention, he should be able to soak in to the more tankier composition with that Phoveus and that Tig on the other side.
And there's the Suyo. Confirmed. You still need a mid laner. What does PX7 pick up here? His Vex is open.
Vex is open.
Eve is open
Eve
too.
is still open. We saw the Eve Tig from FNOP yesterday, and it did wonderful together. They could go for something like a Root. Oh no, they still need a mid. Vex.
Your team is picking.
Oh, they go for the Pharmies this time. But against the Claude, against the Farza, against the Joy, it's a little scary. They're picking that into multiple counters.
Well, they can go the glue. I would have said Vexana just for the fact if you could deny the glue. from Fnatic
Yeah, but
Onyx.
Blue gets hard countered.
You're gonna get blown up.
Yeah, you're gonna get blown up. Fairman's destroyed.
Oh, true.
Glue.
That is
Yeah.
true.
Priestess of Primal
Keep it
Lightning,
simple.
the
Put
hunter
Kirk
of
on
all
the
evil gods.
on the Edith.
Did you see
That's
Kirk
the
last night?
signature.
Did you
Monstrous.
see Kirk last night?
He did not. I'm just kidding.
Monster.
All right, y'all know he didn't die. So, with that said, let's throw it over to our casters. Calling game number 2. Nice swinging, and let's go.
Hey, you know who saw Kirk last night? We did. And everybody else saw Kirk's performance, but also Fovius and Benny's Bruno this time around, man. I gotta say, it was an electrifying game 1, but this draft this time for Falcon Esports, is it gonna be enough to take them into the series and even it out 1-1, Ingan?
You know, I do have to agree with Trex, man. You picked up the Faramis up against the Farsa and the Claude, natural counters of the Faramis. They're just gonna burn through the Netherrealm, but they'll still see how Falcon will respond to Fnatic Onyx.
They've got to respond. They both have comfort picks leading into this game. And really, when it comes down to it, you got to be able to contain the lightning that is Fnatic Onyx Philippines. We'll see if Falcon can soar high. Game number 2, jumping to the land of Dawn. It breaks down to this, Dax and King Kong in the jungle. This time Dax, also a pick that he loves to take into the games. We'll see how he answers mid lane. It gets a lot of action early on, especially when we see the Cho in play. And this time they'll try to secure the buffs and the early rotations. But Ingan, anything sticking out so far emblem-wise for you when we get a preview of it?
Not so much. It's just that Dax, again, resulted to the Impure Rage, so you know that he wants to go for the sustain. Not so much about the attack, but looking at Kelra, unfazed, unbothered. Quantum Charge, Master Assassin.
Yeah.
He wants to go aggressive in the gold lane.
This is what I love about Kirk, too. Kirk loves the Warcry emblem on the Edith, and there's a reason why he gets so many kills when he does pick it. Such a comfort pick for him, and we've even seen him go to the extent of just taking Lords alone. So, again, something that Falcon Esports wants to go ahead and keep in consideration. A lot of the early poking going back and forth. Brusco loves to be pretty aggressive on the Cho. A King Kong, too, on this side of the jungle.
Oh, Kirk, okay. Our Shatter Flicker combination. Here comes King Kong. Might be able to take down Dax. Super Friends once again shining for the Super family. They want to extend their lead by trying to go for Royal Milk. But again, Brusco will disengage. That was a huge response coming in from Super Friends.
Big response pick, 7. Could be in trouble. Brusco taking a couple of shots. 1 kick, 2 kicks, gone. Super Friends will pick up the kill.
The aggression of the mid-roam combination paired up with King Kong's fast farming. This was actually what the panel has been saying. In terms of statistic, Suyo has a better win rate compared to Joy, but again, Trek said it's all gonna boil down to who's gonna farm up faster. And so far, King Kong is 1 level ahead of Dax.
I'm wondering how this matchup will play a part. You know, we saw this answer already. Benny, in trouble! The feathered airstrike finds the mark, and now the fight for the turtle's gonna break out.
Infernal Pursuit, they're gonna try and work on Kirk. Kirk pops his ultimate, but gets pulled up and hit with the Queller. A trade for Falcon Esports. And now they're gonna transition to the turtle. Let's see how Brusco and Super Friends will react.
They're just gonna give this up. Looks like Falcon Esports will get the objective. They secure the turtle. Meanwhile, though, leave it up to FNOT to find something else where a ton of gold go in the hands of Kelra here as he pushed in. Still, of course, working on that first item. Did get the level 2 boots, though, to help with some of the trades against the Bruno. So he's got that little extra physical defense to go ahead and deal with that, because this is a matchup that, yeah, maybe some people wouldn't like to play in the Bruno. I mean, Bruno, obviously, just massive win rate right now, pick rate as well. The Claude so much, not so much so. You know, it's specific gold laners and players that really like to utilize this, and Kelra being one of them. Actually, we just see a lot of the gold laners from the Philippines like to go for the Claude. And it's always something they can take into consideration later in the game where they split push on the map.
Yeah, I think that's why Fnatic Onyx Philippines early rotated up top, because we've been talking about this a while ago, that they normally don't engage in the gold lane, but in this case, since the opposing team has the Bruno and Keller has an unfavorable hero in this Claude, they have to work on the gold lane, but right now Royal Nick with an Infernal Pursuit.
They're going to go in. Kirk, a little bit of health still left, will flicker on out defensively. So going to be just fine. Now still the fight. Going to disengage both sides, but some battle spells, ultimates used in that exchange. There's the kick though.
And the feathered airstrike. PX7 though with the Nether Realm to try and save Kid X. Brusco forced to use the flicker. So that was still a good initiation, counter initiation for Falcon Esports. They did, however, lose their Nether Realm with this incoming turtle.
Part of this again too is just to be able to contain, you know, allowing your junglers to get the buffs. Now look at King Kong. He can actually go in. Looks like it was taken, so Dax, no purple buff for him.
Yeah. You were just about to say that the junglers need to get their buffs, and King Kong already stole one. 1.2k gold lead for Fnatic Onyx Philippines, but still Falcon Esports still putting on, trying to control the higher ground in Turtle Pit. They want to go for the neutral objectives as much as possible to try and delay Fnatic Onyx Philippines' fast rotation. This is how you keep up with the tempo of Fnatic. If you can't go for kills, go for those objectives.
They're going to go for it. Feathered Airstrike, there's the kick.
Okay, paired up with a Feathered Airstrike, a mega kill coming in from Super Friends, but they're going to answer back by taking down Brusco as well. They have full control over this turtle, but King Kong will make it in time.
I'm not sure if he's going to get there in time. Dax will get the turtle.
And the Primal Wrath coming in from Kirk, but PX7 goes in with the Nether Realm. Look at King Kong with Electrify. He's going to take down one more, make it 2. No trade for Falcon. They did, however, get the turtle, but Fnatic Onyx Philippines will transition in the middle lane.
Benny making his way alongside Dax. They will hold on to the turret. Benny taking a couple shots, but it's Kelra now taking that, but he's going to be fine. And meanwhile, down to the bottom side, King Kong just pushing in. There's the kick.
Oh, and the Feathered Airstriker reached Kid X, forcing him to use the Sacred Hammer to evade. And again, how many times have we seen King Kong? Actually, we don't see it because it's always an off-cam kill on the bottom lane, Naisu.
He's everywhere and anywhere that he needs to be. And it just seems like FNOP continuing on. Now, Benny could be in trouble.
Okay, there's still no Jeet Kune Do. Okay, it connected, but Benny, okay, we know that Benny is one of the best Bruno players, not just in a specific region, but actually in the whole M6. And now he has to step up, especially when it reached the 16-minute mark where Bruno is really activated, can go for a potential comeback up against Fnatic Onyx Philippines. But in order to do that, the rest of the members from Falcon need to step up and try to extend the game to that mark.
This is what FNOP likes to do. They like to play on all fronts, all lanes. You know, Feathered Airstrike just to go ahead, get that limit test in on Royal Milk. Does get brought down under half health, but he's going to be fine. Essentially, it's Falcon Esports to go ahead and adjust, you know, side of the lanes, top side too, maintain what they can. And like you mentioned, Benny, he needs to get to the point where, you know, he has the space to work with. He can actually go ahead and utilize the setup from Kid X, hopefully later on, and they can even rely on Royal Milk to stay that front side again.
They're going to easily burst down Kid X right away. Not even a single reaction from Falcon Esports. Now going to transition up top. They're going to gang up on Benny.
Benny in trouble. Sliding tackle in. Brusco one hit away. Won't get it. Still alive. And they pick up a kill now on Benny.
Oh, that was a quick response for Fnatic Onyx Philippines. They know that their power spike is now Super Friends with the Feathered Airstrike paired up with the Flicker. Now Kurt goes in with the Earth Shatter PX7 with the Nether Realm, but it's not going to out-sustain the damage. Kelra goes in with a Blazing Duet. That's going to be a double kill for King Kong. And just like that, in your words, Naisu, Fnatic Onyx Philippines, they're just too damn good.
Right now, they are charged up and ready to go. They'll get this turtle as well. It is still 2-1 in terms of turtles, but man, every fight that's going right now, it's FNOP that comes out on top of it. They have to be able to take down Super Friends. I mean, we've seen the utilization of the Flicker defensively, aggressively, and everything. So Falcon Esports, they want to be able to lock someone down, but who do they get? Because even when you think they're actually going to be able to kind of withstand a forced fight, it's either Kirk or it's Brusco. Every time that Flicker is available to Brusco, he's going in, trying to set up a kick here. Now at this point, they'll have to respond. Falcon Esports trying to find up what they can. And when you're looking at the damage, the amount of damage that's being done here, they just need more time to farm up. The fact that they have this fairness in their favor, it's not the same amount of damage burst that comes out from Super Friends.
You know, at this point, Super Friends is really trying to force PX7 to use the Nether Realm right away before they fully commit, but here comes the play. Oh, Jeet Kune Do plus Flicker combination, gonna bring down Royal Milk. Infernal Pursuit's not gonna be enough now again, gonna transition onto Dax. Will they overcommit though? They don't have minions, and under the turret, they might go for the discipline route and just walk away.
Falcon at this point, trying to get what they can across the map. It's probably going to be this tier 1, but they get the information that you guys might want to back off from that as the rotation comes through. from Fnatic, Onyx, PH, and this is what they like to do. Dax in trouble.
Kelra.
Still gonna be fine. Kelra won't dive into that, but they will work on the tier 2 turret now. PX7 joining him up. Not going to go down just yet, but Super Prince.
Another there strike, going to connect onto 2, forcing PX7 and Dax to walk away. Zoning them out, Fnatic Onyx Philippines. They're going to have minions under the middle lane. Are they going to commit the mid push? Because right now they have a 7.3k gold lead. At this point, you're free to do anything.
Yeah, when you have this kind of lead, it's really... You have to be very careful on how you approach some of these fights. Even into this first Lord, if Falcon Esports approaches it and gets out of place, out of position, I would say even if Kid X gets that implosion set up, again, mind you, they've got a couple of things to work out. There's the kick from Brusco.
Plus the feathered airstrike forcing PX7 to use the Nether Realm right away. King Kong onto the back line. Whoa! Okay, manages to get an implosion, but Brusco picks up the kill. Royal Milk has to flicker away. Here comes the Fnatic Onyx Philippines. Kirk with a Primal Wrath, but they're going to answer right back and take down one Fnatic member down.
Oh, Super Prince.
That's 2 kills for Fnatic Onyx Philippines in exchange for Kirk.
He's keeping Dax there. Dax is going to go ahead and regen, but King Kong will jump in. Super Prince waiting patiently, relying on Benny to come help him out. He wants to clear that way. Oh, there's the feathered airstrike. They're going to cancel it out so he doesn't get the one last in, and Super Prince will back off, but they bought themselves enough time to secure the Lord for FNOP. King Kong waits a little bit longer, and there you go. Objective secured.
Fortunately for Falcon Esports, you know, the Farame is actually scared off Super Prince's Farsa. That was one more hit to Dax with a feathered airstrike. So Falcon Esports, they did not lose any bodies, but Fnatic Onyx Philippines, they got the Lord uncontested, and now they're going to try and make sure the minions are, the minion waves are managed. They're going to try and take down all inhibitor turrets as much as possible with a 9.2k gold lead.
Again, it's a massive lead for them, so Falcon Esports backs against the wall. We saw a preview of the team fight potential. Even if an implosion is set up, they just don't have enough firepower right now. So this main idea might be to get a pick here. King Kong, though, elusive as he is on the Joy, will be able to just freely get away. Still waiting for that Lord to push in. So Falcon wants to stay in this game with this kind of deficit is they've got to be able to pull the Holy defense off. A miracle play, if you will. They try to hold on at the tier 2 in the mid. Kirk will jump in, gets the tackle out. Feathered airstrike dropped down, and the shields are going to be popping. There's Brusco once again as a threat, looking for the kick. They just get a couple shots in the base turrets as King Kong approaches with that bottom wave. But right now, Falcon Esports holding in. This might be the moment, though, as this next powered-up wave will push into the base.
Okay, Brusco has the conceal. He does have the flicker. But I think Fnatic Onyx Philippines are not going to overcommit because Falcon Esports made quick work of the mid lane minions and now going to transition onto the top and to the bottom. Fnatic Onyx Philippines trying to play as disciplined as possible. They can't find the proper angle to penetrate the defense, to penetrate the front line and get to Benny.
Still, give it up to Falcon Esports, even despite being down this much. Hold on to their base turrets, even if it's just barely in the mid lane. Looking at the items, you can see the glaring difference between the gold laners. You know, nearly 3,000 gold difference. And they're able to take a risk because of the fact that Kelra has these items now in the mid lane.
Kid X targets Kirk onto the back line, gonna get ganked up by 5 Super to the rescue. The feathered airstrike gonna take down Kirk. Once again, Fnatic Onyx Philippines, King Kong with the electrifying beach, trying to go for the back line, but PX7 with a clutch Nether Realm, and all the while Kelra just worked on the top lane inhibitor turret, executed flawlessly by Fnatic, but a heads-up play for Kid X for Falcon Esports.
Took them a little bit longer, but they got the 2 base turrets down off of that Lord take. And again, Kelra now picking up the Malefic Roar. As we were saying, the spark difference between the gold laner damage is massive. And so we're looking at another 5+ minutes, really, for Falcon Esports possibly to get back in fighting form. They might have to go ahead and give up even the next Lord at this point unless they can somehow get a pick off. And I feel like that's what they've been trying to do, but it just hasn't worked because most of the times you have people like, you know, these heroes like the Joy that are just scouting things out, and King Kong can easily get away unless he's locked down properly. Picks up the Divine Glaive himself, so the amount of magic damage being utilized here between him and Super Prince, and even to an extent, Kirk is a massive.
Yeah.
The Lord will be started up. Still looking to make a play up there on the top, trying to get that tier 1 down. Quick work on this Lord take.
Okay, an uncontested Lord for Fnatic Onyx Philippines and Falcon Esports. They're no longer looking for a trade. I think with their current composition, They can, however, try and clear this, especially if no one gets picked off, and Kid X makes another miracle implosion play, so it's still possible for Falcon Esports to try and turn things around and force the game to the 16-17 minute mark when Benny is going to be activated for their side.
Benny's positioning is what's crucial here. You can still play around the fact that you have a NetherRealm to help you. He's got a little bit of defensive, picks up the Rose Gold Meteor, so he's got that BOD also for Dax on this, possibly the last defense. We'll see how they play apart. FNOP takes the last base turret in, and now walking in slowly with the Lord up front. Taking a couple shots, they still respect the damage that can come out. Benny on the front side, gonna get checked, but they actually defend, even despite the 13K lead right now for FNOP. Not sure if they actually go in further. It looks like they do really want to just be disciplined here because of the fact that they have to respect how much utility is actually there for Falcon Esports.
Yeah, again, they have the NetherRealm, and Kid X can go in anytime with the implosion. So Fnatic Onyx Philippines, even if they have this huge lead, 12.9k, even if they had the Lord, even if they have damage coming in from Kelra, the utility, the PX7 alone with the NetherRealm is going to be enough for Falcon Esports to out-sustain 2 to 3 seconds worth of damage coming in from Fnatic Onyx Philippines and eventually enable Benny to just wreak havoc up against Fnatic Onyx Philippines. Not to mention, he did, however, pick up the Rose Gold Meteor, as you mentioned, and he does have his Purify. So in terms of positioning, when it comes to those clashes, it's going to be also hard for Fnatic Onyx Philippines to lock down on Benny.
Sort of surprised, you know, with FNOP, even with the lead that they have, based off even what we saw in Game 1, how kind of slow they're taking that approach into the base. And part of it really is just because, for example, if one person goes down from FNOP and they overextend into a base push, that's a whole lot of gold going to whoever gets that kill from Falcon Esports. And if it's Benny, obviously he's pretty much there. I mean, he does have the itemization that he needs, still working on the last one. But you can already see it. You know, when they get a preview of the damage, when they're defending, it's there. And a NetherRealm alone is enough. No matter how behind PX7 was, for example, NetherRealm is enough utility and enough value to actually turn base defenses, where we've seen this even in previous competitive games for MLBB before, where a NetherRealm, a clutch timing on it, can keep you into the game. So it's FNOP practicing that disciplined approach. You're still waiting for that Lord to come up. Not really going to be able to find anything from this, so rather just kind of out of stalemate until Falcon Esports gets in that defense mode again.
Yeah, Fnatic Onyx Philippines gonna do this by the book. Gonna try and get an uncontested Lord, but looking at the position of the rest of the members of Fnatic Onyx Philippines, if someone for Falcon Esports tried to get information, get vision, for sure Fnatic Onyx Philippines won't be afraid to try and dive down and get a burst.
Well, Lord's up here now, so Falcon will just let it get taken. They know that even if they approach towards this, it's going to be gone in an instant, as it is. Another Lord now in the hands of FNOP. This is most likely the one that could end the game. So have they bought enough time earlier on? We did say, you know, Falcon Esports needs about 5 minutes. They got the 5 minutes. They made that work. That was one of the boxes they had to check. Now can they make this a team fight, a defense, to possibly turn the game in its favor? Again, they have, what, no turrets down. So they have to win a base defense and possibly swing towards the base of FNOP. And as they wait for that Lord to approach, FNOP will deal with the waves managing them up. And this is one of the things, you know, Dax himself has good damage on the Suyo, but he's nearly just got to wait for Kid X. If Kid X lands this implosion, it's going to be great, but already Kid X in trouble.
They got spotted out and bursted down. Kid X Immortality will be popped. Whoop. That's one member down for Falcon Esports, but Kelra actually is not going to mind Kid X anymore. They want to go for the tower push.
Without Kid X, though, can they even win this fight here? They're going to break out.
Okay, they're going to zone out the members of Falcon Esports with a feathered airstrike. They're going to log onto the base and win game number 2 for Fnatic Onyx Philippines.
And off a questionable positioning, punishing the positioning mistake, man. We don't even get to see Falcon Esports go for the base defense that they were building up to and they bought time for, as FNOP will punish any mistake they see. Now at 2-0, match point for this series. Again, going back to the drawing board here for Falcon Esports.
You know, Fnatic Onyx Philippines, even though they're hyped up, exciting team, they're still not afraid to showcase their discipline, their macro gameplay, and their patience up against a team like Falcon Esports. That game was executed to perfection by the whole squad of the Super Family.
Man, I'm just not sure the call there. you know, with Kid X, that was crucial. I was saying, you know, we need this implosion to see the tide turn possibly in the fight, but hey, maybe the panel can make sense of that. Panel, take it away. What do you guys think about this one?
Thanks, Jose and Jose. A little longer in the tank this one went. 17 minutes and 48, still the win for Fnatic Onic Philippines. And with that, we are at match point. Gentlemen, it seems like Fnatic Onic are also capable of swinging it over and giving Super Friends and King Kong a little bit of spotlight.
Yeah, this one wasn't really the age of Kelra, but yeah, again, Super Friends and King Kong combination. Just hard to match up with. You have the Joy, right? Super mobile, able to get to the objectives, and you know, we kind of talked about it briefly while the game was going on. The farm rotation from King Kong. He's able to farm very effectively with this Joy, take the neutral objectives, and also be aggressive. I think he got that first kill on Dax. Hear that orange buff?
Yeah, I think that's the big key is he wasn't only a my job is to get the objectives type of jungler this time around. He was aggressive, he was able to attack, he was able to put damage out, and that's so important on these Joys because Joy can take a little bit of time, but because he was able to get some of those early game kills, he was online much faster.
And I think that's the beauty of this draft by Fnatic Onic Philippines. The fact that they, once again, in the second phase going in, allowed for the Suyo to come in despite the stats saying otherwise. You should not run the Suyo into the Joy or the Joy into the Suyo. It was the Joy and Cho opener. The draft alone, once again, allowed for Fnatic Onic to make the active calls and say, Falcon, are you sure? Falcon Esports, this is what we're ending up with. And let's look at the item builds, let's look at the stats. Despite it going longer, something tells me this was more of a non-starter for Falcon Esports.
Yeah, definitely hard to match the pace of Fnatic Onic, right? I mean, we talked about it from the beginning. Aggression versus endurance, and they're very aggressive. This is a 17-minute game, a little bit longer of a stretch than the last one, but still the same result, right? Even though Kelra wasn't really the one to get the job done, he played more for survivability on this one, right? He trusted in his teammates, he trusted in King Kong to be able to get those neutral objectives, and Super Friends from afar raining down the artillery. But I got a question. Was Faramis the right play?
I mean, the Faramis, when we saw it so late in the game, felt a little bit off with some of the picks that were already on the field. You're up against Kelra on this Claude, which I think can do a great job against it. You're up against this Farza, and you're up against King Kong, who played a very aggressive game and could get in the midst of that Cult Altar and just bring everything down. And King Kong, once he gets Holy Crystalline, you know, it's trouble, man. It is a problem. The damage is just too much for everyone to handle.
So to answer your question, Faramis was kind of Farameh.
Farameh.
Right? Again, the amount of AoE and the potential for Fnatic Onic to come in at many different angles to bully your formation out of position makes the Faramis less than ideal. I'm sure PX7 and the rest of the gang had a plan for it. It's just we really didn't see it come to fruition. If you ask me, it feels like Falcon actually just ran back a little bit of what happened in Game 1, iterated, polished it, but we all watched Game 1 and that wasn't close.
And it's always challenging when you have the Faramis on the board, not to mention when you have the Tig as well, because Tig with the Implosion or Faramis with that Cult Altar requires your team to play close together, right? But Fnatic, they know how to be aggressive. They know how to separate your players, and then you're out of range for the Cult Altar. You're out of range to be effective on the Implosion play, and that's when you see Fnatic take advantage of the engagement.
Dear God, look at the Monster Mage, 63K.
Yeah, Super Friends is, I mean, continues to be a monster. Very similar to Kelra. Like, no matter what mage you give this man, he is making plays. But when it comes to these backline mages, especially the Farza or the Yve, but the Farza was so fun watching yesterday, and it was extremely fun watching today. I love how he picks up the flicker. And this flicker, for Super Friends at least, is almost never used defensively. It is a engage, flicker in, look for the stun, look for the play. I mean, it isn't an aggressive flicker.
It's a reposition. We've seen it in the last Turtle fight, and then we saw it a few times inside Falcon Esports' base. And you'll see here, the gold graph, for the first, 5-6 minutes, it was under control. It seemed like Falcon were keeping it close, and then suddenly, what was this? The last Turtle, it went for a drop. This is just showcasing Fnatic Onyx's understanding of what makes macro work. Because sure, you gave the turtle, but you're losing more on money.
Yeah, and that's the thing, right? When they're in control, it's very hard for them to let go of that, and it goes to show they're definitely paying attention to the objectives. And Falcon, they need to find a way to turn this around, right? That chokehold is getting tighter and tighter. It's now 2-0. Potentially match point on the way.
Yeah, I would say, honestly, even with that first turtle, it still felt like FNOP was in control because remember, they gave them that first turtle, got a bunch of gold plating off the gold tower.
Stole the purple.
Stole purple. They got such a great trade out of that. We're able to push back Benny and give Kelra the advantage in that gold lane. So even when FCON gets some of these neutral objectives, FNOP never really loses out, and that's what FCON has to do. Force them to lose out on these trades.
I'm wondering if this is an all-time high. 12.9. For sure an all-time high, at least in the knockouts, if I'm not mistaken, for this gold lead happening at about the 15 minute mark of game number 2. Amazing work by Fnatic Onyx Philippines. Definitely in control even more. Ladies and gentlemen, let's award our MVP. Who could it be? Fnatic Onyx Philippines' very own. I think it's the Monster Mage, man. You just gotta give it to Prince Ramirez.
Oh man, definitely well deserved on the Farza. Like I said, the flicker was not to escape. It was to engage, and that's exactly what he did today on the Farza with the artillery. Very hard to deal with and provided all the damage necessary, controlling entire zones for Fnatic Onyx.
I mean, Super Prince has been flying under the radar of that MVP ding for a while. I feel like it's been well-deserved for a minute now, so it's nice to see his face up there. It's nice to see him because this guy is truly a monster. I mean, it feels like it's hard to pick and choose on the side of FNOP, but my eyes a lot of the time end up on Super Prince. The plays he make are just unbelievable.
Let's check out the highlights here. Big spots for the Monster Mage. You see here, late entry. He comes in without even an ult. He's just wings by wings in, one blast, and then we're good. Moving from lane to lane. I think Farsa might be a breakout hero for the knockouts.
Yeah, I mean, just look at his positioning, right? He always plays from afar. I mean, look how far he is in this turtle engagement. That's what makes the difference, right? Playing for survivability, but also utilizing the AoE range from that feathered airstrike to the maximum potential. And then who else to clean it up? King Kong. Not a way to slow him down, even with the TIG, still able to find the opportunity.
I love what you said about the Farza being a breakout in the knockout stage, because especially for FNOP, it fits their quick-moving laning phase. It fits the way they want to move around the map. Super Prince hits the wings by wings, looks for these fights, and it also fits their layering style of fighting to where each person will kind of take a turn of engaging, disengaging, moving back and forth. They're never stagnant in these team fights, and that Farza works so well for Super Prince in their form.
All right, folks, it's not like we're seeing Farsa for the first time in M6, but the fact that it's coming back with such great returns, great highlights, great stats, make it a breakout hero. Who else might we see? It has to be something that Falcons bring out now. Yeah. Because Game 1 and Game 2 of those drafts, they look very similar, and the results are similar too. So, you know, this is the definition of insanity, doing the same thing over and over again, expecting something new.
Right, but end up getting the same result. Right now, I'm pretty sure, I don't even think Eve was banned in that last game. It was available, and Fnatic Onyx still prioed the Farza, right? You're a little bit more mobile, so I guess in survivability with the wings by wings, you have a lot more at your disposal, right, to engage and disengage, and then you stacked it up with a flicker as well. It's just pure chaos, and definitely not something you want to see in the hands of Super Prince. Now, everything on the line, a chance to be top 4 right now. This is where Fnatic Onyx is heading. Falcons, they need to elevate. They need to spread those wings, but how do they do it? Can they come back in this series?
One game away from Axiata Arena is Fnatic Onyx Philippines. I bet one other place that they want to go is Qiddiya. Discover the beating heart of Qiddiya City, the gaming and esports district, the world's first real life gaming hub and a beacon of gaming culture. Search for @Qiddiya Gaming. It would be cool to see some of our favorite teams in action over at Qiddiya. Maybe someday soon. Thanks, Qiddiya. Play life. From the 11th month of the year, that's November 22nd, to December 29th, M6 Support Chest will be available for a limited time.
Purchase the support chest for 50 diamonds to get a large amount of pass EXP with a chance to obtain a basic M6 pass. Use the basic M6 pass to instantly activate the M6 pass, unlock additional pass rewards, and immediately get Claude Challenger Spark.
Hashtag
greater than ever.
Hashtag
MLBB M6.
Hashtag
Mobile Legends, bang bang.
All right, so with this out of the way, we were pretty urgent after game 1. Now
you're on FCON.
Now we beseech
FCON 6.
Now we beseech Falcon Esports to bring out something new. What could it be? When can they whip it out? It's gotta be here, it's gotta be now. Luckily, we do have a few moments before the big action begins. We have a courtside interview coming in with Rose and the gang. Let's see what they're up to.
Hello, everybody, and thank you to the panel. Welcome to the Courtside Report. My name is Rose, and I am with Michelle. And right now, I am with Mr. General Dilar, all the way from the Philippines. He is a pro player, content creator, model, and now he's a part of the MPL PH Insider. So, sir, what do you do as an MPL PH Insider?
MPL content creator po sa Philippines.
So you're an MPL content creator, technically.
Yes.
So is that why you keep dancing and taunting here?
Yes. Yes, ma'am.
Why are you so scared to answer suddenly? Are you nervous?
Opo.
Okay, he's nervous. Out of nowhere.
Maybe nervous because beside the roles, right? So any content inspiring you after watching the game 1? What do you think about their game 1?
Tingin ko dun sa game 1, mas naging agresibo lang talaga yung Onyx Philippines. Yan. Tapos hindi nakapag-scale ng maayos yung Falcon.
He said he thinks in game 1, actually, Fnatic Onyx Philippines managed to scale quicker, and after that, Falcons didn't manage to come back because of how aggressive Fnatic Onyx was. Okay, now, Dilar, I'm just going to ask you one question, okay? Give me a good answer. O sige Give me a good answer. Who do you want them to meet later on? If they were going to proceed to the upper bracket final?
RQ versus Team Liquid.
Yes, who do you want Fnatic Onyx Philippines to meet?
Napakadali naman sagot yan. Ay, tanong yan. Tingin ko, kahit sino naman sa kanila, mauulit at mauulit lang yung nangyari nung nakaraang M-Series.
Wow! Michelle, you know what he said? That's such an easy question. It doesn't matter who Fnatic Onyx meets because whatever happened in the past M-Series will happen again this time around.
Whoa, so you get so confident about the team, right? So did you think they got any improvement after coming to the M6 series?
Yung Fnatic Onyx Philippines.
Yes, ano yung improvement nila from MPL PH Season 14 to now?
Sobrang laki kasi nung MPL Philippines Grand Finals nila, medyo tumagilid na gilid pa yung yung barko. Pero ngayon, nakapag-adjust sila sa M6 na yung drafting style nila, mabilis sila nakapag-adjust compared dun sa mga ibang team.
He said that actually in MPL PH Season 14, the draft and everything else was still shaky. The boat was shaky because we all know that the Grand Finals, Aurora almost won, right? And so he said, in his opinion, this time around, Fnatic Onyx Philippines managed to work on the draft, and I'm pretty sure even discipline-wise, they're very different this time around, right?
Yes. Dahil sa syempre sa coach din.
He said also because of the coach. Okay, Dilar, what do you want to say to Fnatic Onyx Philippines on the stage before we start Game 3?
Galingan nyo palagi, tsaka gawin nyo lang yung mismong trabaho nyo, tsaka yung role nyo. Shoutout din sa, syempre sa Falcon. Kasi sila yung team na isa sa pinaka-sinusuporta ko dito sa M-Series yung Falcon niya. Kaya patuloy lang natin i-cheer yung mga bansa na sinusuportahan natin yan. Tuloy lang natin yung mga trash talkan, masaya yun
He said that to Fnatic Onyx Philippines, just continue doing what you're supposed to do and just stick to your job desk. And for Falcons as well, a big shout out to them because he said he finds Falcon really good this M-Series. To everybody watching, don't forget to just support the country you guys are supporting and just continue with whatever you guys have been doing now, the banter and everything, because it's fun. It makes everything fun. Okay, thank you very much to Dilar. Thank you to Michelle. And with that, let's throw it back to the panel to start the Game 3 of this game between Fnatic Onyx Philippines going up against Falcon.
That man, the general, knows what he's talking about. Thanks, Michelle. Thanks, Rose. Once more from the front lines, best seats in the house, a courtside interview with a MPL Philippines alumni, MPL ID alumni, the General Dilar. That man knows what he's talking about because he's been there. He knows what that stage is like. He knows what it takes to get to the top of the world stage. And when he says Fnatic Onyx is on a whole nother level, best believe Fnatic Onyx is on a whole nother level.
Yeah, he was very confident, right? I mean, he said whatever happened last year is going to happen again. He's looking for the Philippines to push on through for another story.
He also mentioned how Fnatic Onyx drafting has improved even from MPL Philippines. And Trex, you have thoughts on this. Very clearly, there was a pattern that you saw.
Yeah, there's one thing to start off. There's one thing that's major is it's not just the gameplay, right? It is the drafting to a T. I mean, from game one, we see them counter the Joy with the Fredrin, and Fnatic Onyx is never scared to pick something that maybe someone would see as weak, but if it counters, they're going to make it work. We saw it with the Layla in the very beginning of the Swiss stage. We just saw it with the Fredrin, but other teams aren't willing to push that boundary. But Fnatic Onyx, they're always doing it. FCON could have picked the same draft that FNOP did, but they didn't go for it.
Right time, right tool, right job. Here's a quick M chat with Kid X. He was asked, how does the team cope in high pressure situation? The young man answers, during scrims, we always train without pressure. If a teammate misses his spell, we try to make him laugh instead. Now he was asked, who misses his spells the most? Maybe it's him and the PX7, the mid-roam.
Well, they know how to have fun, right? And sometimes that definitely is what matters. But right now, facing a 2-0 deficit in a best of 5, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. And this is going to be challenging for them to come back. Hopefully, they can find that way, because we know Fnatic Onyx, when there's a path, they find it.
Imagine trying to laugh off a 2-0 deficit. Imagine trying to laugh off going single-digit kills against Fnatic Onyx back-to-back in game 1 and 2. How does Falcon Esports shake off the nerves? How do they reset? How do they do the almost impossible? Because I'll tell you now, in about 3 or 4 months, I haven't seen a team make Fnatic Onyx PH sweat the way the likes of Aurora and I'll tell you now, RRQ and SPS, those teams, they got one over Fnatic Onyx. Can FCON do the same here? This is the one chance that they got. Match point. Game 3, FCON on the play. Banning out the Lo Yi and the Cho. FNOP taking out the Fanny and the Zhu Xin. Everything about the same except for that Cho.
Yeah, I mean, the Cho's a decent band, and we're back to this Granger. We're back to this trade-up. FCON, you know, the most important thing here is it's not just the gameplay, right? We're seeing that very clearly. It is the draft majorly. Coach Why Not versus Neo Chao. I mean, it is something that has to change for FCON. We need to lose the idea of comfortability. We need to lose the idea of this has to be picked. We need to be ready to counter at all cost, at all odds, and the players need to be able to play whatever the coach wants to give them.
Yeah, they're facing a double-edged sword yet again, right? First in the draft, last time we asked, do they pick the Bruno, do they pick the Suyo? Right now, you are seeing both available as the Hylos will be banned out. Last time they picked the Bruno, and it didn't work in their favor. Do they go the Suyo this time around? No, they go the Bruno again.
I don't think the Bruno's bad. The Bruno was not a bad first pick. FNOP, if they go for this Joy again, if they go for the same thing we saw last time, what was it, Joy?
I want to see the Fred.
Cho? I want to see the Fred. It is the counter to the Joy right now. It's not Suyo. Joy wins out in that rock, paper, scissors. We already saw it last time. And if you doubt what I'm saying, FNOP pulled the Fred out against Joy in game 1. So take a page out of their book and do what they did to you.
All of the supporting documents to prove Trex's theory is in this series. So all you gotta do is scrub back about an hour and a half and you'll see it all. Now, Fnatic Onyx, they open up with the Joy, and instead of the Cho, they get the Khalid.
Which we know very much this could be a Roam Khalid if they want it. It could be
a Brusco special.
Yeah, it's a Brusco special. Some spice in the land of Dawn.
Yeah, and they can definitely flex it like you mentioned, especially with that Hylos being out, one of the only heroes that can really match up with the pace of that Khalid. Now, there's still a lot of mid laners
on the case
up for grabs. You are going to go ahead and see the Fredrin locked in, a Trex prediction at its finest.
Coach Trex. Okay. It wasn't a prediction. It was an order.
It was an order. It was, listen, guys, I'm losing faith in you. And there's another page out of the draft 1 book, game 1 draft book. We pick up the Matilda. Gives Benny some opportunity to dance around here. Now, last time we saw it as a last-minute flex, but still, we're looking very similar to FNOP's game 1 draft on the side of FCON.
As good as this is as a development, right? You take a draft and you make it as close to the winning formula. You're doing it against a team who did that.
Hey, man.
Imitation is the highest form of flattery, but Not like this. What are you trying to get the Faramis and then like an XP lane substitution for that Cho?
Maybe they should have took the Cho in the beginning and then did the swap and literally just copy and paste, you know?
Now the question is, do we pick up our mid laner here, right? I mean, last pick on the board for the first half. You could go in for the Farza again. There is a Mathilda, though, could be a little bit of a challenge. They're going to go in for the Vexana instead.
All right, this is another hero that I think Super Prince is comfortable with, but we haven't seen him shine as much as compared to, you know, his MVP winning Farsa, his Lu Yi, even his Valentina. So I'd like to see how he works with the Vex.
And it just goes in so cleanly to the way that FNOP draft. They're always looking for the counter play. They're never scared to put, okay, this time we're going to slot Mage in our third pick. This time we're going to slot this in our third pick. They know, okay, you got Fredrin. We're going to bring out the Vexana. It does great at countering it in the Lord Pit. It does great at dropping the Eternal Guardian. Fairme's band. Second phase band's going quick. And this time Falcon's like, listen, we're going to take out the Layla.
Look at that.
And the Beatrix.
Tit for tat. These coaches not wasting any time. Coach, why not? The Kimi Mutombo, no. Just says
I'm not going out like this.
You cannot do what we did to you game one. And of course, Coach Nyo Chow respecting the hard counter. Kelra said it himself. Yes, it is a hard counter. If I pick up the Layla against the Bruno, them balls ain't touching me.
Now, do you match mobility with mobility, right? With the Khalid and the Joy, do you go in for something like the Hilda?
It's open. Oddly enough.
Hilda against the Joy works well. I think AFCON could pick it up, honestly.
So that's two hard counters. The Fred and the Hilda. There's another hero, I think, that is open, but you can't pick anymore to counter the Joy. It's the Beleric. You just get in there, you stand, stop dancing.
Yeah, stop dancing. Stop. Wait a minute.
Wait. All right. We are looking for an XP laner. There you go, Royal Milk's fave. And what's going in mid? What's going in mid? What else is left?
Aurora, Eve. Is Lu Yi still? Nope.
It's not enough burst though. If you pick any of these heroes, that's not enough burst.
Yeah, just go for a nice back line, honestly. I think Eve would work. Could go for the Farza again.
It's not the right kind of damage.
It's going to be challenging because of the mobility aspect. I was going to say Farza would work better than the Eve, just due to the wings by wings to be able to get a little bit further out to safety. Maybe pair it up with the Flicker as well.
And the damage profile, very important in this current meta game. If you picked anything else, like a utility, mage, and mid, FCON would not be going fast enough, not even close, to catch up to the tempo that FNOP will be going in with.
It's make it or break it. Facing match point for Falcons. And you are going to see that last pick on the way.
Always ready to counter. Always! FNOP doesn't care if it's meta or not. We're counter-playing.
It's Falcon we're asking for to bring new flavor, but now Fnatic Onyx evolving the metagame once more before our very eyes. Yu Zhong showing up here. Game 3. Let's throw over to our casters, Ingan and Naisu.
You know, Yu Zhong had to come out because he's seeing all the other Prime skins coming out to play in M6, and he's like, you can't forget about me, Ingan. They pull out the Yu Zhong pick. What do you think about it? Do you think this is a closer? It's match point right now for
I think
FNOP.
it could be a closer, a good counter pick coming in from the composition of Falcon Esports and in the hands of someone like Kirk, easily activated. You know he's going to disrupt the formation of Falcon Esports, specifically when the Feathered Airstrike has been casted, so it's going to be hard fought battle for Falcon and going up against Fnatic Onyx Philippines.
Right now, FNOP is saying, what's a Falcon to a Dragon? We'll see if it plays its part this time around. Game 3, it's match point right now for FNOP. Can Falcon Esports soar higher and stay in the series by taking a game against Fnatic Onyx Philippines? And this time around, a little bit different in the jungle, of course. Dax this time gets the Fredrin. It's such an interesting change of pace that we've seen throughout the M6, even from Swiss stage to now, and just the meta in general. And again, make sure you guys grab your M6 pass. It's now available. Oh, mid lane, PX7, oh, in trouble, one hit away. Brusco will be fine though.
Okay, this is the aggression actually that we expected for Fnatic Onyx Philippines. I mean, you have the signature Brusco Khalid. Khalid activated early on in the early game. Main objective is to really try and go for the mid control and eventually go for the delay in the jungle rotation. And so far, Brusco has been doing a good job going for those pokes, going for those engages. And we'll see if Brusco can keep it up against Falcon Esports.
Part of this too, obviously, is, you know, I like that Falcon Esports has utility on their side now. You know, you still give Royal Milk the hero that he's performed probably the best on, even Benny to that matter. But still, you can play around this Matilda pick. Helping Dax have a little more mobility on this Fredrin's going to be great. They're setting things up for the first objective, poking down Brusco a little bit here, but King Kong is there to go ahead, and the Quicksand Guard. Super Prince, though, will have to burn the Flicker already, so pretty proactive early game from Falcon Esports.
Yeah, that was well worth it. Again, just the guiding wind. You already burned out Super Prince's Flicker, and you know that in terms of mobility, Vexana, although he has the Deathly Grasp, mobility-wise, he's not up to par compared to PX7's Sparsa, so that's a good resource burned for the side of Falcon Esports. But again, here is the problem. Kirk with a Yuzhong already level 4. If PX7 decides to go for the Feathered Airstrike, but on the other hand, no Dax, going right after Brusco.
Brusco going to be in trouble. Flickers out, heals up, Quicksand Guard will go down though, but the fight's still going to break out as Dax falls next. And it's Kirk taking some more with the shots and gets the double. It's a reminder the Yuzhong still works in the meta, and that's going to be a turtle as well for FNOP.
If you're speaking about proactiveness, Kirk was proactive in that clash. Jumped in, plus the Petrify, gonna take it down too, even though Royal Mid got the vengeance. But King Kong, though, forcing Kid X to flicker up, but catches him off guard with electrifying beats and brings him down once more, extending the lead of Fnatic to 1.3k.
And Brusco just given the vision available to King Kong to see if they actually want to make a play from this. Dax has to be careful because of just the difference in speed from the jungling that can happen here. Mid lane, they do get that flicker out now from PX7. Feathered Airstrike to help clear things out. The Super Prince will keep him under the turret. But you can see this, again, Dax is falling behind slightly against King Kong, now sitting at level 7.
Yeah, and apart from the discrepancy in the two junglers, we saw what could happen when it comes to the mid lane matchup. PX7 cast the Feathered Airstrike. Super Prince not going to go out of the vicinity of the Feathered Airstrike. Just going to go in and cast the Destiny Grasp to disrupt the Feathered Airstrike. That's more than enough. And not to mention, Kirk also has the Yuzhong with the Petrify. So there's a lot that PX7 needs to worry about when it comes to casting his Feathered Airstrike.
Again, this poke battle here in the XP lane. Kirk's biggest threat, too, is obviously, like we've seen in past M series, where Yuzhong was just picked up so much in the XP lane. Whoa! Super Prince.
Raging Sandstorm. Okay, they're not going to commit the flicker though. But Brusco just managing to zone out. King Kong goes in with an electrifying beat and burst it down. PX7. Dax with the energy eruption.
King Kong going to be able to just get away. This Joy is so slippery to catch. Energy eruption or not. A whole lot of ultimates just kind of thrown out there too. PX7 going down. Didn't have the flicker available. And yes, the Wings by Wings will only help you so much. So now as they get us situated, some more extra gold. First items being locked in too for FNOP. Starlium Scythe now for King Kong. I'm surprised, you know, he's been doing so much damage already. What more? And now with the Starlium Scythe in hand and leading into this Corrosive Scythe still for Kelra. He's been just farming up, doing his thing. They'll go ahead and get in position now. Turtle's up. Kirk made his way to that gold lane as they get ready to just let Kelra push bottom side. So we'll see Falcon Esports. How do they deal with the fight?
Okay, Raging Sandstorm paired up with the Black Dragon for him. Kirk also has the Petrify, forcing Falcon Esports to retreat. But PX7 has the Feathered Airstrike. Spirit of Destruction will also connect. Going to take down Brusco in the hands of Benny. Here comes the Terrify coming in from Super Prince. Going to bring down one more. Kirk is going to fall down. And this is the response of Falcon Esports.
Great response. And they also get the turtle. That's exactly what Falcon Esports needed. Good item picks up. They are going to trade that tier 1 turret, but this is a good shift that Falcon Esports needed. They had to get some momentum and take care of the gold deficit getting too out of hand. King Kong still going to go ahead and put pressure in the jungle, though. So Falcon Esports, how do they adjust from everything that just happened here? They showed that they can still fight, utilizing the utility that they have, and even down to the firing power with a Farsa if the positioning is there.
Okay. They might be able to solve the problem right away. Kid X was the reason why they got saved, and now PX7 with a Feathered Airstrike to bring down Brusco. And Royal Milk wants to go for more. Infernal Pursuit trying to catch up onto King Kong. Volley Shot Worldy is going to connect, and Fnatic Onyx Philippines will disengage.
You're seeing it happen, you know, in these team fights, in these skirmishes. Falcon Esports' lineup allows them to just go ahead and fight it out if they have to. Kirk now joining the fight into the mid lane. They get the vengeance out. Kirk could be in trouble. Still going to be fine. Get some of the healing back with that Sharson, so he goes and disengages.
Okay, that's a win for Falcon Esports. Although Royal Milk popped his Vengeance, they also popped Kirk's Petrify and paired up with ultimates casted by Fnatic Onyx Philippines. But all the while, Kelra, the gold standard, is just really making quick work of the turrets. He did get the turret down bottom during that turtle fight wherein Falcon Esports won that trade. And right now he got one on top and King Kong goes in onto Dax.
They're going for Dax. Dax, quarter the health. Oh, the Spear Destruction lands and here comes Kelra, picking up the kill right on the mark. And now PX7 whittle away, 1 HP, will survive. And Kid X now caught under the turret, they go in.
Here comes the internal guard, but Royal Milk wants to go for Kelra. He's not going to be able to catch him, and Kirk blocks his path. Brusco and Super Prince, will they re-engage? Kirk has to jump away. And again, the gold standard. When you thought he was just going to go for the turret push, he went for more. He took down Dax.
So what you always got to watch out for is where is Kelra going to show up. I mean, this Moskov alone plays that part. You know, push down one of the lanes and then just join the fight. But right on the mark that time, the fight, though, for the turtle. Falcon Esports looking to take the last turtle of the game. Brusco jumping in.
Okay, they're going to commit the Raging Sandstorm, but all the way to the back line. Kid X trying to work on King Kong. Spear of Destruction will miss. The Feather Airstrike is there, but they're going to get a kill onto Benny as Dax gets the turtle. They want to go for more. Falcon Esports on the attack. Killer just dishing out the damage. Super Frizz with Infernal Pursuit to bring down Super Frizz. And that's a trade Falcons was willing to take a kill onto 2 plus the turtle.
Even if they lost to Benny, it's fine. Falcon Esports will fight and fight and fight. They know they're facing that match point against FNOP, and this is what they have to do. Kelra could be in trouble this time. Guiding a win, circling Eel combo, and Kelra is gone.
Finally, a shutdown onto Kelra, a much-needed pickoff for Falcon Esports. Really trying to enable PX7 and Benny, and Falcon Esports unfazed by the lead that Fnatic Onyx Philippines had in the early phases of the game. Just looking at the lead, it's down to 700, Naisu.
In the 3 games we have now, this is the best that we've seen Falcon Esports, and maybe this is what they needed. Maybe this amount of mobility and firepower is what they needed to bring Benny online. Look at the damage though, King Kong will be able to get that circling eagle out, but mid lane.
Committing a lot onto Royal Milk. The counterattack is there, plus the Vengeance. He's going to fall down in the hands of Brusco. Here comes PX7, Feathered Airstrike by Fnatic Onyx Philippines. They went out of the vicinity of that ultimate. No trade for Falcon Esports.
No trade right now. They're going to get in position. They still have plenty of time before that Lord does come up, about 30 seconds or so. That's why there's so much focus here in the mid lane. They might still look for more. King Kong popping the electrifying beats. We'll have the backup before the next fight. But these tier 1 turrets in the mid lane, obviously very important before that first Lord breaks out. But right now, it's just kind of maintaining things. Good item pickup here for Benny, finally getting that Malefic Gun. So now he's got the 3. He's got the Haas Claws, he's got Berserker's Fury, Malefic Gun. He is where he needs to be on the Bruno. Has farmed up quite a bit, sitting at the top of the gold ranking here too for Benny. So he is online. As long as he is safe, and he's got not only the sliding tackle, but he's got a flicker plus Kid X on the Matilda. His positioning should be on point. Super Prince!
Super Prince has to walk away now. Falcon Esports going to set their eyes on this Lord. That was a good rotation for them to clear out the top lane so they can focus on this major objective. Fnatic Onyx Philippines, King Kong looking for the proper angle. He's going to hide in that brush.
Going to get in position. Kelra might make his way down too. They know Falcon Esports wants to take this with the Fredrin. They have the utility. They're going to go.
Here comes the Black Dragon Form Raging Sandstorm combination to zone out. Falcon Esports, the Spear of Destruction will connect. Dax gets the Lord, but Fnatic Onyx Philippines wants to go for the kills. Royal Milk will get 2. And now Falcon Esports, the response that you want from them. They're bringing everything they have to bring down Fnatic, and only King Kong is left.
And the Falcons find their flight. And they'll just go down, taking the tier 2 in the mid lane. They might look for more. Working on the base turret, they're gonna get the shields down. And FNOP a couple seconds away, but they lose a base turret. And now they have to defend against this Lord push.
That was a huge, huge play. Falcon Esports, not just the micro, all the way from clearing the top lane so they don't have to worry about the Kelra split push. And down to Kiddex is trying to save everyone with the guiding wind and the counterattack. Dax, his priority was to go for the Lord, and he got it. But they went for more. They went for 4 bodies. A huge play coming in from Royal Milk, also to zone out the members of Fnatic Onyx Philippines. Lord sieging in the bottom lane.
Sieging on in. They're going to wait for that to go down. They'll walk in with it. FNOP. They'll have to be on the defense. Feathered Airstrike going to be used. Brusco looking for an angle.
King Kong got caught with an energy eruption! Brought down by Dax. They still have the Lord, but Fnatic Onyx Philippines going to make quick work of that. They have minions up top. Now they set their eyes on this inhibitor turret. Will they be able to take down everything Fnatic Onyx Philippines as Royal Milk goes for the zone? Here comes the circling eagle. Benny left alone to dish out the damage. Fnatic Onyx Philippines has to walk away, but Falcon Esports says, we will make the gods bleed!
And we get another game. It's not going to be a sweep. Falcon Esports finding a second win here in the series. Exactly what they needed. This side of the stadium standing up, cheering for them. A great test for FNOP, and it's Falcon Esports that does it. We're at 1-2 right now for Falcon Esports. FNOP has to make some adjustments. I mean, that was a quick game, man. That was 11:44 for Falcon Esports. Great performance. They made adjustments throughout the draft. They played with the utility that they had, even for Kid X, and they just came out and played as a team here. Great job by them.
This is a series, and Falcon Esports gets one.
Let's throw it over to the panel to break down this amazing Game 3.
Finally, the Falcons get some altitude and are on the board. Game 3 going over to the Burmese. And it took 2, but finally they found their form.
Hey, where there's a will, there's a way, and they found it, right? Able to turn that game back around. Trex, we mentioned it every time we're on the desk together. You see things go the distance, and if they just take things one game at a time, that can inch their way back up to evening out the series. Now, all they got to do is win one more, and it'll be tied up.
I mean, I hate to say it, but no. The draft was key for the side of Falcon there. They were willing to play the count. Listen to T. Listen to Big T, all right?
All right, so folks, if y'all need a quick recap and you just tuned in, after repeated renditions of the same draft, Falcon Esports now finally finds a counter and picks the Fredrin into the Joy and forces a new pick out of Fnatic Onyx book, and they pull out the Yuzhong. They get even the Moskov out of Kelra to face off against Benny's Bruno, and they get the dub. Is that all to the story? What's behind this big win by Fnatic Onyx? We'll be able to talk about it more as we look at the post-game stats here. There was a sudden snap in the mid-game. This was a short game, but I think the beats we'll be able to understand more when we see the gold graph and the highlights.
Yeah, overall, just decisive, right? Falcon, even with their backs against the wall, they found a way to disrupt the reign of Fnatic Onyx, even with the Farza pickup, with that feathered airstrike just being such a demonic force. You get to see the Mathilda bring them back to safety. I think with the sustainability and with the massive damage output, and then again with that Fredrin to counter this Joy, who's been pretty much unstoppable this entire M series.
And speaking of that Matilda, right, you get the Oasis Flash, you get cooldown, you're building on the more damaging utility side, and you're able to do that because you have this Fredrin. Normally, FNOP would completely take advantage of a squishy front line, but since they have the Fredrin in that place, you have the advantage.
It definitely helped. And Fnatic Onyx, interesting response. Ultimate dive. They have the Joy on King Kong, just trying to, weave in and out, try to burst down Benny if he somehow found him. PX7 as well, a little softy there. And I'd say the more acquired taste, the X factor, the special ingredient, that Yuzhong, alongside Brusco's signature Khalid, which has done work on the M6 stage before. Suddenly you see Kirk bringing in the Black Dragon. At some point, it worked. It was good when we saw them synchronize it with the Rampaging Sandstorm, but I guess the guiding winds was just enough, and of course the hard stoppers up front.
Yeah, I think the big problem where it started to fall apart is you have this Khalid, which already isn't a real tank, right? Like, yes, it's a decent tank in the hands of Brusco, but then you also throw in the spice of this Yu Zhong, where now you essentially have two heroes that just aren't real frontliners. Like, they are, but they're not your hard-boiled tanks, right? And once Benny gets online, he's just eating those things up. And that's why in the beginning it works for FNOP. They have the dive, they have the counterplay, but once it gets to the end, when Benny's really punching in, those, more half tanks aren't cutting it.
And this is just overall a way better solidified draft from Falcon. It's what we've seen in the last matches, right? You have the Mathilda, which helps with the Phoveus. One of his biggest problems is having to dive into a team and having no way to get back to safety. But when you throw that Mathilda in the mix, he has a clear path back out when he uses that Infernal Pursuit. As you look at the gold graph on the board, I mean, look how it scales in Fnatic Onyx's favor, all the way up to about that 7 minutes with that turtle play. And then out of nowhere, Falcons rise high in the skies and take over.
Almost 3,000 gold between them, and then it was even Fnatic who scored the turtle at that point, and suddenly, come the 9-minute mark, it's Falcons who scored the Lord, and then Fnatic locked inside their own base.
Well, there is a big trend to notice with a lot of Fredrin games. It is normally always first Lord pop-off. Like, that's normally the time when these Fredrin compositions start to shine, right? Because Fredrin's a slow jungler, and what FCon did so well here is they never let that gold get past that 3K mark, right? They always kept it under range. It peaked at 2.4 deficit for FCon, and then it starts to come back. It starts to flow back. If FNOP was able to full send that gold lead and get a couple more kills on the board, then their composition probably would have won out. They would have been able to take control. But because FCon's able to kind of stalemate it until that 9-minute mark, then they're good.
And they really spread out the responsibilities. You see here, PX7 got a solid amount of kills, 3. Benny as well, 3. And then sometimes the frontliners would just find these stragglers, these random heroes from Fnatic Onyx that have crossed the threshold, the point of no return, and that's what led up to that huge lead. Because, again, in the first 7 minutes, yeah, it's true, Fnatic Onyx were in control, but Falcon never let them go farther off. That's why it stayed within comeback territory and allowed for the Burmese to get the win. Let's go ahead and figure out who our MVP is. Which one would you name to be the biggest impact player for Falcon Esports? Ladies and gentlemen, it's none other than Kid X, holding their ground, keeping everyone safe. His Mathilda definitely allowed for so much more than just protection.
Yeah, I think this was the perfect Mathilda game, right? Especially stacked up with that Phoveus, and I would say even with the Fredrin. Both of them not the most mobile heroes, but when you throw the Mathilda in the mix, not only are you providing those shields, but you're also getting them back to safety. We saw a lot of amazing highlights over there from Kid X to get that job done, only really needing that flash of Oasis to be able to pull that off. Now, with the Mathilda in the mix, and the Phoveus, is that a gamble Fnatic Onyx wants to take again for the next game?
To leave both open?
To leave both open.
I guess it depends on what side Fnatic Onyx ends up being. If Fnatic Onyx picks blue side to go to, the draft will be completely different. It's going to be a completely different game, But still, we'll see exactly how it ends up. I like the way that Kid X plays this Mathilda in the early game. It was a little more aggressive. He was able to bring Dax to chase down some of these picks, able to bring people to safety. He was always in the correct spot at the right time. And I think just overall, it's a hero that did fit him very well.
Okay, now in hindsight, watching these clips play, and again, once the fight begins, Falcon Esports just has had that unfair advantage of we can disengage and re-engage at will compared to Fnatic, who is just all in dive. Maybe that's something Fnatic Onyx did not see coming, like the way Kid X plays it. It's very different from Brusco's Mathilda, that's for sure.
He's not sitting behind the team. He's sitting in front of the team looking for angles nonstop.
And maybe that's the problem that Fnatic Onyx ran into, right? I mean, when you have a hero like the Yu Zhong and also a Khalid, both of them with the Sandstorm, with the Black Dragon, they both dive in and they're looking for that opportunity. But when you don't get it, when you have a Mathilda that disengages that target that you select, you just wasted your utility. And that's when you counter-engage, and that is when you make that opportunity work in your favor. And that's what Falcon Esports did.
And now in hindsight, even the battle spells, watching the action once more, it's evident to me that the lack of Purify makes it all the more worse, right? I think the way Fnatic Onyx approach this game and the way that Kid X and Falcon punish them is, yeah, we're gonna outbox them. We're gonna press these buttons better, and that's how we're gonna win. Falcon did not let that happen.
You know, it's such a great point because Kelra is kind of, at least so far in M Series, he's notoriously known to just take the flicker because I think he's so confident in his mechanics.
About 9 out of 10 times he's right to do that.
About not exactly, but this time FCON FCON catches them out, right? Falcon Esports takes advantage of that, and that small oversight ends up being one of the downfalls here, right? So very well played by Falcon, and now, for the first time in 3 series, and we're coming on to what, Series 4 now, Fnatic Onyx has to go to the drawing board.
Yeah, I mean, they're rolling their sleeves up, but they're not out of the tunnel just yet, right? They got to find another way to disrupt that path that we've been seeing Onyx dominate in. And I agree with you, Trex, when you mentioned the draft, when you mentioned the Fredrin, being a great response to the Joy. These are the things they have to do, right? Half of the battle is in the draft, and that is where you can disrupt Fnatic Onyx from taking over.
And with that said, going into Game 4 for the first time in this best of 5, it's Fnatic Onyx who has to figure things out. Luckily, they can still adjust the draft and we have a quick break. So with that said, folks, y'all go ahead and grab a drink, grab a snack, and we'll come back with more action here on the M6 World Championship.
fight for ultimate glory starts now.
Mobile Legend M6 スイスウォッチ明治
Hello Panda, semua suka biskuitnya. Biskuitnya enak isinya lezat rasa coklat dan strawberry. Hello Panda, semua suka biskuitnya. Biskuitnya enak isinya lezat rasa coklat dan strawberry. Hello Panda, biskuit isi yang enak.
Welcome back to the M6 World Championship. You're joining us smack dab in the middle of a best-of-5 upper bracket bout. At your service, my name is Leo, here with Steph, Wheezy, and Trex. It's Fnatic Onyx Philippines versus Falcon Esports, and Falcon just got on the board. Currently, the score is 2-1, and it seems like Falcon is making a draft that they started with in the series somehow work with just a few tweaks.
Yeah, just a few tweaks, some counter engagements, right? We talked about Fnatic Onyx being the aggressor and the counter engager being Falcons, and that's what we've seen in game number 3 is some counter engagement. That Fredrin to lock up that Joy, that Mathilda to get the Phoveus back to safety. These are the things you have to do, and it starts inside of the draft that makes the major difference, and also a chance for them to possibly even out the series.
So with that, Coach Trex, what does Fnatic Onyx PH do? Because again, we mentioned for the first time in the series, suddenly it's them who has to go back to the drawing board.
Well, I think I don't want to take away from them taking that Yuzon pick because that's just the way that FNOP goes. Like I said, they're never scared to pick something if it theoretically on paper counters. And I think FNOP just has to continue doing that, continue playing their game. The real question is, do they go back to blue side, which creates this really interesting dynamic between teams because some teams really like drafting from red side. And I'm kind of still wondering, where does FNOP fit on that blue to red side right now? It seems like they enjoy blue, but we're really going to know now because they're finally losing a game.
Yeah, more on the Yuzhong. Something tells me it's less about countering what Falcon Esports are doing, and it's more of just their coup de grace, their finishing maneuver to try and take down Falcon. Speaking of which, here's a quote from Royal Milk, the story behind the team's success. Their biggest factor of success was their training. They play every day without rest, preparing for the World Championship, and it takes a lot out of them, and it's mainly out of the trust for their coach. Both of their coaches, Coach RC, Coach Nyo Chao, are like family because those are their sources of motivation and pushing them to improve. It's their support that allows for them to improve.
Yeah, they're definitely close-knitted, right? They keep it home, they keep it as a family, and that's what you have to do, right? That synergy is what comes alive from Falcon, and that's what we've seen in game number 3. Now, a chance to even out the series. The odds are higher than ever, but they were able to prove everybody wrong. I mean, there was a moment when I looked at the prediction rate, it was 99% to 1. I got to see what it is now. I mean, after the last performance, there's some glimmering hope for the Falcons.
Okay. Talking about Fnatic Onyx efforts to try and reel the series back into control and eventually a win, something tells me they're going to play closer to the chest. Something tells me Game 4, they will play closer to a style that doesn't outright try to reinvent the wheel, because that's what we mentioned as the Yu Zhong pick came through, right? Like, oh no, they're redefining the meta again.
they're changing it up. But you know, I can completely agree. When you get to a point like this, it's like, all right, back to the basics. Let's see if, and you force Falcon to kind of come back to that. You jog them back to the world, and can they embrace themselves for that? Because that's definitely it's tough when you go that off and then to snap back, you know? So can they do that?
Well, we also asked the question with the last series, do they let the Matilda and the Phoveus both walk?
It's one or the other.
Yeah, are they gonna, does Fnatic Onyx have a plan against that? Or are they just gonna let them select it again and try and dominate on game number 4? A lot of questions we have to ask, but we'll have some answers here momentarily as we're looking at some of the players on the board.
I think it's really down to, like I said, because if FNOP's on blue side, then they might have the option for the Matilda, right? They might have, because that's where the Matilda's been going. So a lot of it's going to come down to where each one is at, and then if we think the Matilda is that prio, at least in this series between these two teams, does FCON go for like the cheeky Matilda first, second pick, right? Instead of saving it for third, do you slot it in early? If at least between these two teams, that is one of those defining game-winning picks.
One hero for sure that's going to show up in the first phase, regardless of blue or red, is the Joy. King Kong has played the Joy 5 times now, the most in M6. That's why they call him the Electrifying Beast. Second would be Hades and Hoda, and then Sekai's and Tienzi. So, Joy Fredrin. Let's talk about that dynamic, because it's very apt. Are we going to see that trade here again?
If the Joy goes through, I think we definitely see the trade. There's no reason for you not to see the trade between those two.
Is it that solid? Coach T, is it that solid?
I think as long as the team is solid, it's that solid. I think it is the rock, paper, scissors right now. I think it's Joy over Suyo, Suyo over Fred, and Fred over Joy. And then Alpha's just we can throw that in too if we want.
And that's why Coach Wynot's just like banning it over and over again.
Yeah, I mean, even when it came to King Kong, when it came to that Joy, you saw everybody stacked up, all the other junglers. He had an 80% win rate on that, and that was definitely affected by the last game that we just watched.
That's
with
right.
That Fredrin.
Won 4 times prior, lost just now. So that's the current stat here for the Joy. Let's talk about that Phoveus. Again, Royal Milk, successful with only 2 heroes so far. The Phoveus and the CC. I think that's another valid point of attack. Maybe that's what Fnatic Onyx can do to force out another pick out of Royal Milk. Here we go. Game number 4. Still match point for Fnatic Onyx Philippines, despite a massive win in Game 3. Falcon Esports not out of the woods just yet.
Do you mean CC as in the EXP laner?
Correct.
Now that was they pulled that pick out against BTK. Game 3, or no, Game 2 against the Glue.
That was the tempo breaker.
And it was a great pick against the Fredrin. So if FCON gives the Fredrin over and then pick up the CC, maybe second phase or something.
Put it on Kirk?
Maybe even kind of pick up something that's flexible so they don't see it coming. It could definitely be a very nice counterplay we could see. Here comes the Eve ban, so already something different.
But also speaking of different, Fnatic Onyx is now first pick in the draft. So that means they have prio over a hero like the Bruno, which we've been seeing dominate, and usually in their hands, they're able to push on forward with it. And does Falcon Esports have something in their arsenal to be able to shut it down?
But gentlemen, I think we can agree that Bruno's not the problem, right? Especially if you're Fnatic Onyx. There's a way to deal with it, but just the same, they were in this very spot to start the day. They picked the Bruno first, so that could be a way to, you know, get back to your center, find a way to be proactive in the draft, and then end up with these, you know, problematic trades. The CC into the Fred, the Joy into the Fred, and
Fred ban.
already, get out of here.
So you ban Joy here? But then you give over the Blue Yo. So no, you don't ban Joy here. But my thing is now that we have this dynamic between jungle, if they leave it all open, FNOP, do you think they would first pick Joy with Fredrin gone?
I think it would be a good read. Honestly, without that Fredrin, it's going to put a hole in the draft for Falcon Esports and maybe a little bit of that challenge as we are seeing the bans completed and the Joy is still walking.
So the thick plottins, do we Joy?
Or do we Bruno?
Bruno?
You don't Blue Yo.
Do you Hilda?
You maybe Hilda.
Because you can
let
run
the other team
Yeah. Because you'll end up with one or the other, but you run the risk of Joy Bruno for Falcon.
Looks like they're wondering the same thing right now.
Ooh, Fnatic Onyx taking their time.
Hey, something else is still walking on the table. It may not come first, but it's been very impactful. The Farza is still on the board, and it is won on every single side it's been on in this series.
Oh. So they go for the Cho. They leave it in FCON's. If I'm FCON right now, I think I go for the Joy.
Joy Bruno?
I think Joy Bruno would be solid. It's very strong up front. Joy Bruno could be solid, honestly.
Oh.
There it is.
All right. So Farsa here, would you right now put it into this phase? Because I wouldn't agree Farsa first 1 or 2, you know what I mean? But I would first phase.
I would first phase it. I think it would be, because if not, then Falcons is going to pick it up, right? You're kind of forced into a situation.
Isn't that damage overload, though? Isn't that a little too much soft?
I think at this point, FCON needs some sort of front line before they're all cut off.
Before you commit to that kind of artillery, right?
Do they pick up the Hilda here on FNOP? Hilda jungle? Maybe just go for the alpha?
It's either the Hilda or Khalid first.
chose me to vanquish the shadows that plague.
Oh, Granger. We haven't seen the Granger. Granger's been getting banned.
It has.
Now that it's through, it's the clear answer to the Bruno. Which, by the way, it's been catching up, by the way. The stats are so close. The stats are neck and neck for Bruno and Granger here.
And it really helps support the Suyo and some of the things he's have. Like, it just adds a bit more damage where he needs it. The Granger's a little harder to catch, I think, than the Bruno. There goes your Hilda pick, though. So I think overall, both drafts very solid. We finally see both coaches, I feel like, are on an even playing field going head-to-head here.
Well, there's 2 flex picks available right now, right? I mean, you have the Hilda on the side of Falcon. Could be the Roam, could be the XP. Same with the Cho as well. So right now, I think it's going tit for tat. They're trying to figure out who has the edge against the other. I mean, right now, Roams are still available to be grabbed from both sides.
Current stats on the Bruno-Granger matchup, 7-6 with 1 game lead for Bruno. Thanks, Manny.
I love that. I mean, because in the beginning it was all Bruno, but now that we're getting to the knockout stage, we're seeing the gold laner shine, and we're actually seeing that it's a legitimate counterplay, right?
We'll put it into the hands of the likes of the gold standard, the untouchable Aaron Shiki. It's definitely possible.
All right, hear me out here. Tigreal
is banning.
Nope, wait, did he just get banned?
It's
Okay,
been
he's banned. I was about to say,
Never mind.
walking for a second. I thought
recall.
There would have been a chance, but a good read from Fnatic Onyx. I mean, especially with that show, with not as much Group CC, the TIG would have been excellent here, and I think that's a good read to be able to take that off the board. Now, yet to see the mages picked up. What are we thinking?
Farsa is still out there. Eve is still out there. Vixana, oh, Eve is not there anymore. Vixana is still out there, so is that the possible trade? Is there room?
Vixana, yes. My eyes are on this Matilda still.
She's out.
Oh, she's banned. It's been a long.
Is there room for an Aurora? Because I was expecting the Louis to get taken out here too.
What Aurora on FNOP side? Or on FCON side?
Either way.
I think it works better on FCON side to deal with the fighter jungle and the Cho and everything. Joy's a little harder to hit with an Aurora.
You know who I'd like to see? I don't. It might not happen, but the Ruby for Fnatic Onyx.
Ruby Roam.
Yeah,
it works good with FCON too. Honestly, you deal with the Cho and you deal with the Suyo.
Yeah, it was brought out yesterday by RRQ Hoshi into the hands of Enoch.
Against the Cho, against those types of picks.
Hard stoppers, yeah. Even the Joy will have to think twice about dashing through.
Yeah.
She get yeeted in. Yeet.
You ever been yeeted in, Weezy?
I can't say that I have.
It sucks. No fun.
No good. No bueno. All right. There's a Khalid banned out, respecting Kid X's potential. And there's the Kid X pick, the Gatot. He was running out of choices, folks.
Yeah,
but luckily, all of Falcon's players all have played at least 5 heroes throughout the run in M6, so they got deep pockets.
All right, now we put the ball in Fnatic Onyx court to decide, is this going to be a Cho in the XP lane, or will this be a Cho roam?
I think they could Barza here again, honestly. It's the one. It's like I like the Vex, I like the Aurora, but the problem is you have little escape from this Hilda and from this Joy.
Yeah.
But at least with the Farza, you have your wings by wings. You have
You can purify.
You can purify.
You can flicker.
You have a lot of maneuverability at least.
I'm with you. Also, we do not know exactly what Brusco's playing. So finally, we're gonna get a reveal here. Which one of a pocket pick? Is this a Nakai?
Oh!
Okay.
Still up in the air though. We've seen a good chunk of XP Akai in the past quarter of MLBB sports.
It could definitely be either one right now. And the same goes for the Gata and the Hilda.
Oh, it's more likely Hilda XP.
More like, so do you like the Kai over? I think the Cho's better EXP against Hilda because at least you keep up in rotations.
Correct.
This makes it difficult to put in the Farza though, because there's a way to get back to the Farza with the Cho, with
And
the
to
Akai.
steal it.
And to steal it with the Valentina, with the IMU. That's a really good read from Fnatic to lock in that Valentina last minute. And now all eyes are on Falcon Esports. Keep in mind, if they pull off this game, they will tie up this series. A battle to earn top 4 and have a seat in Axiata.
And that means we go all the way. This rivalry will not go down so quickly. The closer for Falcon. There it is, Coach T, the Aurora.
I like it. I mean, I think it's solid. I think it helps answer something. The real spice here, though, is that Akai. How is it going to work out?
Back-to-back, game-to-game, FNOP bring out a spicy pick. Let's throw those our casters to call this match.
Game number 4 ahead of us here at Falcon Esports after getting the last one. Can they do it again to bring it down to one game? What is up, guys? Again, I'm Nice2, and this is Ingon. Ingon, some interesting picks here. We saw the Yuzong earlier last game, but now also the Akai comes to play.
Yeah, Akai onto the hands of Kirk, so it's gonna be interesting how he's gonna fare up against Royal Milk's Hilda. But in terms of clear speed, I mean, paired up with a concussive blast, then you get the Molten Essence. It's gonna be okay, and then you're gonna have a huge advantage when it comes to those AoE control.
AoE control or not, again, up for Falcon Esports to gain the flight in the series, jumping into the land of Dawn. Will it be Falcon Esports taking it to a Game 5, taking it all the way against the Super Fam FNOP? Or will this be the end of the series? FNOP looking to close it out, still at match point. Dax and King Kong again in the jungle, and yeah, it's Brusco on the Akai in that roam. Kirk went in, took the Cho, parked it in the XP lane. So now we get to see this kind of difference work here this time around. But I think, you know, Falcon Esports, man, they have a lot of great picks to deal with this. Even looking at the emblems locked in here, quite a bit already. Royal Milk taking some damage, a little bit too much.
Even popping the Revitalize, but King Kong might actually be able to take him down. Here comes Super Friends, but Shadow Strike also. One more hit, and King Kong gets it. First blood kill onto Fnatic.
First blood going to the hands of King Kong, helping build in that momentum. Surprised, you know, that even with the Revitalize, Royal Milk just wasn't able to kind of withstand that. And that's what I was going to say, you know, the heroes that they have, mind you, they have the double Revitalize sustainability composition here to help them out. Kelra too, I mean, we saw his phenomenal performance on this Granger alone just yesterday. So still, it's going to be that gold lane matchup. And I have to agree with what Trex mentioned earlier. You know, at this point in the knockouts, you're really seeing these gold laners come into play in these, you know, longer series now where they are that crucial part where, yeah, sometimes they're left to their own devices in the lane, but then they end up going 1v1 themselves. But later on, these picks specifically, obviously can turn the tides of these early on fights.
Yeah.
So now, Turtle's up. Positioning going to be crucial. You can already see it too. You have Super Friends taking some shots here. PX7 though. Uh-oh. Whoa!
Whoa! A crucial kill for Royal Milk onto King Kong off cam. And now trying to work on Kirk. A no retribution holder for Fnatic Onyx Philippines as Dax picks up his purple buff.
Oh!
But they answer right back with a takedown onto Kid X as Falcon Esports will try and get the objective away from Fnatic.
They might try to stall this, but I think it's going to be too late with the Joy. The electrifying beat's going to be too much as Dax will secure the objective. Good response again from Falcon Esports. Able to pick up King Kong, you know, it's surprisingly, we didn't get to see it all happen, but PX7 was there. The flicker was gone too, so great usage again with this Aurora pick. They'll kind of settle back into the lanes here at this point. But that's the thing, you know, this Hilda XP has been a nuisance for a lot of teams going against it. Oh, Benny gonna go ahead and block a lot of shots. Calro gonna be fine, just trying to delay what he can. He is a little bit behind Benny though, for now.
Yeah. So right now, the play for Falcon Esports is to really just be aggressive in the mid lane, especially for Royal Milk onto the bottom lane and try to keep Fnatic Onyx Philippines preoccupied. Don't mind Benny once again. Give him the power spike later on that he needs to try and outplay Fnatic Onyx Philippines. And so far, Royal Milk has been doing that. A solo kill onto King Kong. And the best part is, Fnatic Onyx Philippines, they're not as aggressive compared to what we've seen in game number 1, game number 2, wherein they're trying to control the pace against their opponents.
Maybe they don't have to be too